Pirate Eye was dug up by Robin, Chapter 101-120. Chapter 101 Teacher. Crocodile is stunned. No man's land in the southwest desert of Alabasta. The terrifying sandstorm rolled up the yellow sand in the sky, forming a sand wall. The desert land within a radius of 1 kilometer dances as if it has life. More than a dozen huge desert tornadoes spun and collided like tops. This horrible scene continued for 3 days and 3 nights. 3 days ago. At Roland's request, Crocodile left a group of senior agents to deal with the aftermath and takeover of East Blue. The first to return to Alabasta with the spoils of his East Blue trip. Just then, Admiral Kizaru, who stayed in Alabasta for half a month, appeared. Unavoidable. A shocking battle between Shichibukai and Marine Headquarters Admiral begins. So far, it has been more than 3 days. If the powerhouses in the world were told of the battle that took place here, they would be shocked beyond measure. Not just because of Shichibukai's big fight with Marine Admiral. It is also because Crocodile was able to compete with the Marine Headquarters for 3 days. On this sea, although there has always been a saying that the forces of Marine, Shichibukai, and the 4 emperors balance each other. But in fact, a single Shichibukai, in addition to the world's largest swordsman Hakai Mahak, the other 6 people. Admiral-level masters standing at the top of the world. The most obvious comparison is that is Shichibukai Doflamingo. When he hears Kaido of the beasts getting angry, he even breaks out in a cold sweat unconsciously. In this way, it is only a matter of Shichibukai's Crocodile who can fight with Admiral, which is naturally worthy of people's shock. Crocodile, who has always been confident, would not agree with this view. What is Shichibukai inferior to Admiral? How could Hakai be able to list alone and be 1 step above him? He played the Crocodile 5-5, who had also had a great record in the past. More than 20 years ago, he had a fight with the Monster Bullet, who could fight Rayleigh, the king of the underworld. The third of the current 4 emperors, Ant, Kaido, and Whitebeard, he has all played head-to-head, and he is not a loser, but he is not a loser. Even One Piece King of Pirates Roger, he had 1 move, no winner or loser, it can be said to be 55. Except for the accident not long ago, he has never really lost. How could he be the vain name of the waves by opening the Crocodile? In particular, it is still in its own desert home field, taking advantage of the geographical position. Even if the opponent is Marine Admiral, Crocodile is not false. Not false return not false. After going on like this, I was still a little bored after all. Goo tilde ha tilde ha tilde ha, yellow monkey, do you only know how to avoid everywhere? Tilde, Crocodile exclaimed. Crocodile said he was very upset about Kizaru's behavior of relying on his own speed and dodging for the past 3 days. Kizaru just 3 days ago, he was naturally high in fighting spirit. However, over time, Crocodile is getting worse and worse. Because in his feelings, this Marine's yellow monkey seems to be just using him to pass the time. Oh, because it's really scary, these tornadoes. Mid-air, countless golden photons condensed into the appearance of Admiral Kizaru. 1 bite is terrible. A single finger and a laser blasted the desert tornado in front of him. Clothes will get dirty. Admiral Kizaru, who casually popped the tornado, pouted and said the second half of the sentence. 039 crunch. Crocodile gritted his teeth. There are veins bouncing on his forehead. Kizaru's casual tone. And the far-fetched reasons all stimulated his proud nerves. Too deceitful. You bastard monkey, are you underestimating me? Crocodile broke out. Under his control, more than 10 desert tornadoes converged into one after another, rolling towards Kizaru. 039 bang 039. This time, Admiral Kizaru failed to dodge, or rather did not dodge. Because he saw a man on the horizon. Wow 039. In mid-air, Admiral Kizaru was cut into countless light particles under the raging tornado. Goo ha ha, well deserved, yellow monkey. Crocodile laughed triumphantly. It's annoying, sand Crocodile. Next second, the smile on Crocodile's face stopped abruptly, and turned to a look of anger. Admiral Kizaru, who had been shattered into particles of light in the tornado, suddenly flashed in front of him, his right leg raised high. It's not a light speed kick with a dazzling golden light. Just a regular armament kick. The previous 3 days, Kizaru had never shown his armament. As soon as this time appeared, Crocodile was caught off guard. 039 boom. A loud bang. Crocodile was hit by Admiral Kizaru's kick and flew dozens or hundreds of meters away. Finish this kick. Kizaru didn't look at Crocodile again, his eyes with 1,000 mixed emotions always looking to the south. The expression on a wretched old face gradually became excited. He left his thin hands from his pockets and hurriedly adjusted the corners of his clothes that had been ruffled by the wind and sand. That nervous little look didn't have the prestige of being a Marine admiral at all, more like a pure-hearted young man who was about to go on a blind date. Or a little fan who was about to reunite with the idol he longed for in his heart. Asshole. Crocodile, who was kicked away by Kizaru, was about to fight back violently. However, the words just stopped. Because I don't know when someone walked behind him and raised his hand to hold his head. Crocodile was startled, then furious. However, when he saw the person coming, Crocodile shrank his head cowardly back. After a moment of reconciliation, Crocodile's face involuntarily flashed a ray of excitement. The corners of his mouth twitched, showing a schadenfreude smile as he looked at Admiral Kizaru 100 meters away. All right, Zhao. Okay, you yellow monkey, haven't you been very good these 3 days? You can try again in front of this one. Do you think I can't do anything about you, and no one else can? Don't you want to see the person behind me? Now he's here, and he's coming to treat you severely. Crocodile looked at Kizaru, who was gradually restrained under the pressure of Roland's momentum, and the schadenfreude expression on his face gradually grew. The heart is even more prepared for a series of ridicule. After all, he was really suffocated by Kizaru's rogue tactics for the past 3 days. Finally, under Crocodile's expectant gaze, the distance between Roland and Kizaru narrowed to within 10 meters. The world seems to be quiet at this moment. After a while, Admiral Kizaru finally spoke. Teacher, welcome back. Crocodile, huh? 0_0. Land. Chapter 102 Admiral Kizaru wants to change jobs. Teacher. A teacher spit out from Admiral Kizaru's mouth. Listen to Shichibukai Crocodile. 039 Who? Above the vast desert, there is nothing but the sound of the wind. Shichibukai Crocodile, who is used to seeing the world and has experienced countless big scenes, is also like a clay sculpture and wood sculpture, unable to move. His mind went blank. That had been prepared to ridicule Admiral Kizaru were all cleared up. That echoed in his empty mind was Admiral Kizaru's respectful, Teacher 039. Teacher. Who is the teacher? Who is whose teacher? Who is the teacher in Yellow Monkey's mouth? There is no one else here. Not me. Could it be that guy? How come? That man is the teacher of Admiral Kizaru of Marine Headquarters. How could such a thing happen? Chaos, chaos, chaos. At this moment, the thoughts in Crocodile's mind were like mush. Teacher, I haven't seen you for many years, but you still look the same. Just when Crocodile's mental activity was at its peak, Admiral Kizaru spoke again. You're getting old, Borsellino 407. Roland responded calmly. 2 short conversations broke Crocodile's chaotic thoughts and opened the sky to see tomorrow. Crocodile had a big groove in his heart. His eyes, which had always been half squinted in the past, were now rounded. The mouth is also wide open. Due to the characteristics of Logia, the jaw even dropped all the way to the ground. It wasn't his ears that had a problem. He had no hallucinations. Highest combat power of the Marine Headquarters, Admiral Kizaru Borsellino is really calling that man teacher. That super young-looking monster turned out to be Admiral's teacher. What exactly is going on? Can anyone tell me where the hell is that guy? Crocodile growled inside. Following the ultimate conqueror king, the monster power far surpassing Whitebeard, and the great swordsman comparable to Hawkeye. Luo Lin's Admiral Teacher, Identity, 039-039, refreshed the crocodile's upper limit at one time. This compartment. Shichibukai Crocodile was so shocked that he couldn't even think. The other side. Roland with Admiral Kizaru. The reunion conversation after 36 years is still going on. Teacher, I knew that my feeling was correct. The person behind the sand crocodile is really you, teacher. You have been in Alabasta for the past 36 years. Admiral Kizaru said with a smile. Zhang Lao's face lost his usual wretched look. The speed of speech has also been switched to the speed of a normal person, no longer the kind that the deputy will be beaten when he hears it. That's why Luo Lin didn't give him a class after 36 years on the spot to correct his bad habits. Borsellino, your feeling this time is quite accurate. I remember that you practiced with it for a long time before, and observation hockey was only able to get started. Roland nodded. Iya, people always make progress. Besides, I'm a genius that you think of, teacher. How can I be worthy of the teacher's attention if I don't make progress? Admiral Kizaru said with a smile. He also bragged about himself. Okay, since you guessed it, they should know too. Admiral Kizaru knew exactly what Luo Lin said about them. Suru Vice Admiral probably felt it. As for the other two, he should be able to guess some, but he can't be 100% sure. Kizaru said. Then you can be 100% sure, and you don't even hesitate to play with the little crocodile here for 3 days and wait for me. What if I never show up? Roland asked back. If the teacher doesn't come back, then I'll continue to play, I'll be free anyway. Admiral Kizaru spread his hands. That hasn't changed. Roland raised his hand and patted Admiral Kizaru on the shoulder. Through this short conversation, he knew that Borsellino was still the same Borsellino before. He had brought him out of that small island in advance, and the years of teaching were not in vain. At least. Borsellino standing in front of him now is very different from the old wretchedness he once remembered. Mr. Roland, you probably won't go back to Marine. Kizaru asked. Don't go back. Then do you want to meet Suru Vice Admiral and the others? I can make arrangements in secret, so that no government officials will find out. For the time being, forget it. Roland waved his hand. If I were to be found by them now, I would definitely be annoyed to death. When my own power develops, their nagging should be less. It is also true that meeting now will cause a lot of trouble. Admiral Kizaru nodded. Speaking of which, teacher, I've seen your city plan. You don't want to set up a new marine, right? If that's the case, I promise to be the first to respond and immediately resign from Admiral to take up your job. Teacher, if you are the Commander-in-Chief, how can I get the position of the Commander-in-Chief, and the salary you offer, teacher, can't be too low, but I know that you have copied a lot of Dark Foss's nests in East Blue, at least 1 million birds a month. Admiral Kizaru said with great interest. Fortunately, there is only one crocodile who is as dumbfounded as a clay and wood sculpture. If these words spread out, it will inevitably cause a great uproar in the whole world. After all, this is Marine's highest combat power, a job hopping at the Admiral level. Even Luo Lin didn't respond to Admiral Kizaru's words for a while. For a long time. Are you serious? Roland asked back. Is the teacher looking at me as a joke? Kizaru nodded earnestly. Forget it, Borsellino, just do your thing. Roland waved his hand. Not because of the $1 million monthly salary that Kizaru said. Like Kizaru is not an existence that can be measured by money. Not to mention the monthly salary of 1 million, even if it is 10 million or 100 million, there are a lot of people in the world who are willing to hire him as a bodyguard. Looks like you already know, Sensei, you can't hide anything from your observation hockey. Kizaru nodded and didn't mention the job hopping again. Lee. At this time, there was a loud eagle chirping in the sky. Kizaru Admiral, this is my kingdom of Alabasta, and you won't be allowed to do whatever you want. Hayato bells back. Cobra looked at Kizaru and Roland who had met, and suddenly let out a majestic shout. Chapter 103 Cobra stunned by the sand crocodile shock, 7/7. Stop, Kizaru Admiral, you won't continue to let you do whatever you want. This is my country. Arresting people here, always ask me if the king agrees or not. Zone Bird Fruit Falcon Shape Ability, Guard Deputy Captain Bell's Broad Eagle back. King Cobra stood in the wind full of momentum, and scolded Admiral Kizaru below with majesty. 3 days ago. Bell announces the return of the East Blue Fleet. Admiral Kizaru disappeared. King Cobra immediately followed. They arrived in Waisung. They heard that Admiral Kizaru and Crocodile fought. As for where they fought, you don't have to look to find out. After all, the momentum can be seen even from a few miles away. The next 3 days, Cobra did not return to the palace, but has been waiting far away. Until not long ago, Roland arrived and appeared. The 3-day and 3-night battle between Kizaru and Crocodile finally came to an end. King Cobra hurriedly asked Bell to take him and rush over as soon as possible. With more than 1,000 meters away from the center of the battlefield, Bell relied on his pair of eagle eyes to see the third person on the battlefield. Immediately report to Cobra. When Cobra learned that Roland had arrived and had a head-on conflict with Admiral, Cobra naturally could no longer be calm. That's where the majestic rebuke sound is now. Even if you know that the Marine Headquarters Admiral is a very big person, he couldn't helplessly watch what Kizaru did to Roland. 039 Wow 039. Falcon Bell landed with the majestic Cobra. The wings fluttered, and a piece of sand was thrown, hitting Crocodile, who was dumbfounded. So, Crocodile, who was dumbfounded for a long time beside him, also came back to his senses. Teacher, it seems that King Cobra of Alabasta is also your fan. Watching Cobra, for the sake of Roland, would not hesitate to offend him, the Marine Admiral. Kizaru Borsellino suddenly smiled and said. Kizaru. Hearing Admiral Kizaru's words, Cobra, who was about to rebuke the harsh words prepared in his heart, was stunned. Division. Cobra and Bell exclaimed in unison, and their voices increased by more than 800 degrees. Good tilde ha. Looking at the dull and shocked expressions on the faces of Cobra and Bell, Crocodile reluctantly smiled. Now, after all, he wasn't alone in shock. Teacher. Lord Cobb, the teacher called by Mr. Admiral Kizaru. Sir, is that Mr. Rollins? Bell's mood and expression at the moment were the same as Crocodile before. Was shocked by Admiral Kizaru's teacher 039, my mind went blank, and the whole person was shocked to the point of incomparable. Highest combat power of the dignified Marine Headquarters, Admiral Kizaru turned out to be the disciple of that young man. If this were true, how crazy would it be? Kizaru Admiral is Mr. Roland's disciple. At this moment, the King Cobra also stood in place with a messy face. Even if he knew Roland's past identity. At this moment, I was shocked by Kizaru's sudden, Teacher 039. Wait a minute. After a while, Cobra seemed to have thought of something. 38 years ago. World Conference 38 years ago. The Vice Admiral who was responsible for escorting them back to Alabasta. At that time, there were 2 teenagers who were especially valued by Luo Lin and were trained as disciples on Luo Lin's boat. One of the cool, icy ones he'd heard of seemed to be Garp Vice Admiral's son. In addition, there is another slightly older boy. Unlike the icy boy, there is always a smile on his face. His name seems to be Borsellino. Admiral Kizaru's real name seems to be Rusellino. Thinking of this, King Cobra's eyes gradually widened. In his mind, the image of the once refreshing smiling boy gradually overlapped with the image of the old man in front of him. So that's the case, I'm so confused. Who knew that he had made a big oolong, suddenly smiled bitterly and bowed to Kizaru. I am so sorry, Kizaru Admiral, I was the one who was impulsive earlier. Cobra apologized. If you were wrong, you were wrong. If you were wrong, you must admit it. This is the philosophy that Cobra has always implemented. Never die without admitting wrong because of some king's name. Kizaru didn't care much about Cobra's apology, because he didn't care. Misunderstanding, solved naturally just fine. Fans of Luo Lin, and they are also considered to be the same type of people. Mr. Borsellino, I only remember now that we met 38 years ago, Cobra said. Indeed, Kizaru nodded. Since that's the case, then I'll be the host today. Let's get together and get together. Mr. Borsellino should also want to have a drink with Mr. Roland again. Cobra invited. Okay. For Cobra's proposal. Admiral Kizaru had no reason to refuse, and responded on the spot. Hearing this, Cobra and Belle immediately returned to the royal palace of Albana to prepare a grand banquet. Flowers. The other side. Luo Lin and Kizaru, who met again after 36 years, are also drifting apart. Crocodile, who is still messy, was left alone. Until there is no one around. Crocodile was finally able to vent, and exited towards the sky. Admiral Kizaru's teacher, that person was also Marine before, the big Marine 36 years ago, the big incident at sea 36 years ago. The One Piece king of pirates Roger and Marine heroes are the ones who defeated rocks and defeated rocks. At this moment, Crocodile's mind seemed to have a bright light penetrating everything, making his thoughts clear in an instant. His doubts and his guesses seemed to be connected. But not 100% yet. Wow! Crocodile Sand elementalized and disappeared in place. He wants to find the truth and solve the mystery of Roland's identity. At this moment, Alabasta Waysung Port. Vivi and Robin aboard the Going Merry docked. After learning from Kosha that no one in particular had been there, the group decided to go to the Albana Palace first. Watching Vivi leave, Kosha gave a wry smile, retracted his gaze, and threw himself back into the construction of Waysung Fortress. Cha Baba over there, what are you still doing? You finally got promoted to foreman. If you don't work hard, your salary will be deducted. Kosha laughed and scolded the trio not far away. Of course, that's what it says. After all, a craftsman like the trio whose one person is worth hundreds of people is still very rare. It's just a little weird. Kosha shook his head and walked away. Baba, what did I see? That woman on that boat. The spherical man with a zipper on his mouth, who is called Chababa by Kosha, widened his eyes and looked shocked. Yoyui, in order to prove that I'm not mistaken, I decided to cut my abdomen. Another man with thick pink hair like a lion took out a small dagger and stabbed it mercilessly towards his abdomen. Iron block. The dagger touched his body, making a sound of gold and iron meeting, but it couldn't penetrate his skin. Ha ha ha, what kind of luck did we have this time? Nicole Robin, carrying out this inexplicable undercover mission even allowed us to meet the Devil's Son. If we could bring her back, what a great achievement would it be? It's much bigger than the head of the Revolutionary Army branch we assassinated last time. The third C9 member, Zone Dog, Fruit and Wolf form ability Jabra laughed. 6. Chapter 104 Roland vs. Kizaru. Escape first. 1/7. Great Root, the kingdom of Alabasta, is busy. King Cobra hurried back to the palace to prepare a festive banquet. Robin and his party on the Going Merry were also busy looking for Luo Lin on their way back to the palace. Kuro Keta is busy looking for Truth 039, from 36 years ago. In Waysung, the workers headed by the chief foreman Kosha are busy adding bricks to the city. 3 of the capable foremen, Superman 039 from the World Government Sea Espionage Organization, are also busy making plans. Do great things, make great contributions. At the same time, Luo Lin, who had reunited after a long absence, was also busy teaching his disciples at 039, testing the results of his years of hard work. The uninhabited desert in the northernmost part of Alabasta. The battle between Shichibukai and Marine Admiral has come to an end. What is going on here now is the sparring between the former Marine Vice Admiral and the current Marine Admiral. Old Master, 440 inches, are you sure you want to stand still and let me kick? The me now is very different from before, I am very strong. Admiral Kizaru said confidently. Well, then I'd really like to know how strong your kid is now. Roland grinned Isho. Even if the opponent is one of the people standing on the top of the world, Admiral, the highest combat power in Marine headquarters, the expression on Luo Lin's face is still as indifferent as ever. Admiral Kizaru is strong. Of course it's strong. But not as strong as him. Roland has absolute confidence in his own strength. Come here, Borsellino. Roland drank softly in a commanding tone. As expected of Mr. Luo Lin, it's really scary. Kizaru put away the smile on his face, and his expression gradually became serious. Then, Master Chief, you shouldn't have been kicked by the speed of light. Kizaru's voice was still more than 100 meters away, but he had already appeared in front of Luo Lin, with his 2-meter-long legs raised high. As a Logia flash fruit ability, he is unmatched in the world in terms of speed. Even Roland is inferior in speed. This is the sheer speed with which Logia's shimmering fruit abilities give him the ability to push the limits of humanity. But the speed is fast, but it does not mean invincibility. Speed is power. Admiral Kizaru opened his mouth softly, and the golden light on his right leg protruded. If he was an ordinary person with a terrifying speed that was invisible to the naked eye, he would definitely not have the slightest reaction time under Kizaru's kick. But Rollins is very human. Even without looking at it, he can still know what the other party is doing. When Kizaru's light speed kick 039 fell, Roland raised his right hand. One hand in his right hand, he firmly caught Kizaru's side kick at the speed of light. 039 bang 039. Accompanied by a loud bang. The desert land with a radius of hundreds of meters has collapsed here. That was the power of Admiral Kizaru's light speed kick, which passed through Roland's body, affected the surrounding environment, and caused damage. However, the power that was enough to make the earth collapse and the mountains burst, was unable to make Luo Lin move even half a step. Speed is power. Your development of the ability of the Logia glitter fruit is really good. Luo Lin nodded in affirmation, and then the conversation changed. How about other aspects? A momentary unnaturalness flashed across Admiral Kizaru's old face. In terms of swordsmanship, I have never fallen. Kizaru raised his hand and transformed into a dazzling lightsaber with the flash fruit ability, and slashed at Luo Lin. Roland made a knife with his hand and attacked at will. Ding ding dong. The sound of gold and iron clashing echoed over this desert for a long time. The earth was riddled with holes under the raging sword energy, and there were large cracks crisscrossing each other. Well, swordsmen barely passed the test. Roland nodded. For Admiral Kizaru to breathe a sigh of relief, Luo Lin suddenly grinned Isho, and continued, then it's Hockey's turn next, your armament and observation Hockey, how much progress have you made? Borsellino. This, Kizaru's subconsciously tensed. It has been this way since the beginning. Under the gaze of Luo Lin's eyes, he had a feeling that everything was seen through. Later he learned that it was Roland 039's special observation Hockey. What's wrong? Is that guy Zephyr not training you properly? Or did you forget my teaching and didn't study hard? Roland asked with a half-smile. How can you even know this, teacher? You obviously have no chance to read my memory. How do you know about Zephyr, teacher? Admiral Kizaru asked in shock, and at the same time he couldn't help but wonder if Roland's special reading observation Hockey has evolved to the extent that he can see other people's memories from a distance. If that's the case, it's too scary. It seems that you really neglected the practice of the two-color Hockey, Borsellino. just when Admiral Kizaru lost his mind. Roland had circled behind him at some point. He kicked his ass and sent him to the sky. It's too cunning, teacher, and my Logia Flash fruit ability is strong enough, so it's the same to develop the fruit ability well. Admiral Kizaru said. As Zephyr said of Kizaru, he relies too much on devil fruit abilities. Even in the years when he took him on the boat to teach him, Roland instilled in him the theory of Haki Zeon countless times, and he still forgot it after he got the shining fruit. He prefers the convenient, quick and labor-saving fruit ability to improve Haki's strength rather than boring hard workouts. It's his character. Borsellino, since you are so confident, why don't you go to the New World to kill the 4 emperors and show me? Luo Lin said with a smile. Kizaru suddenly slumped. Teacher, I haven't finished talking just now. Even if I can't beat others, I can still run. I'm not bragging. On the escape track, I'm the second, and no one dares to be the first. Kizaru said complacently. Oh, you're still proud. Hearing the proud expression on Kizaru's face, Luo Lin was also amused. Laguela, I still have to make up for the 36 years of missing classes. Borsellino, then make up for the hockey practice that you have been missing all these years. Roland rode. Shinkson. Come on, teacher, King Cobra should be ready for the banquet soon, why don't we go back and finish eating? It's all right, don't you boast that you are fast, you have time. I'm worried, teacher, that you won't be able to make it in time. I'm fast too. Luo Lin's voice had not completely fallen, and the next moment flashed behind Kizaru. Dong 039. Kickoff. Admiral Kizaru's body fell to the ground like a cannonball, accompanied by a loud bang from 039 to 039. The desert land with a radius of 1,000 meters collapsed again. Come again. Dong 039. Chapter 105 Yellow. 8226. Revolutionary Army Senior Undercover 8226. 827 Alabasta Capital. Royal Palace of Albana. It was nearly 10 o'clock in the evening. The lights of thousands of homes in the capital city have almost gone out. The palace is still brightly lit, but the atmosphere was not enthusiastic. Even a little deserted. Can't the heart banquet start yet? My stomach is already growling with hunger. The youth in the Vitality straw hat is no longer in Vitality. The long rubber tongue drooped. There was a constant thunderous sound in his stomach. Quack. Captain Kuru, the super-fast running duck, who was unceremoniously used as a pillow by the straw hat Luffy, quacked twice in dissatisfaction. Duck, meat. Luffy's eyes lit up. Here, Luffy, bear with me for a while, something must have happened to the mentor. He'll be back soon. Luffy's mouthed the big drumstick he had hidden from the palace kitchen. The big hand fondled Luffy's head. Meat. Woohoo, Sabo, you are so kind. Luffy chewed the whole big chicken thigh with meat and bones, and hummed with emotion. Koala doesn't say anything about Sabo's secret food. Because even the little girls 09 are hungry themselves. Just be patient even if you are hungry. After all, the protagonist of the banquet has not arrived yet. How could they eat it by themselves before Roland came back? Brother Rolling, where did you go? In the daytime, too, on the boat, disappeared without a word. Nami's chin rested on the table, and her little white feet were kicking boredly. Wait a little longer, Nami, Marianne. Robin, the elder sister of everyone, comforted her gently. Hey, Dad, did Brother Rolling really tell you what he was going to do during the day today? Vivi looked at his father. Mr. Roland, with their speed, they should have arrived earlier than us. Did something happen in the middle? No, with the strength of those two, who can threaten them in the sea? King Cobra frowned and muttered to himself. Shu 039039 base 039. Just when King Cobra was puzzled, two blurred figures suddenly flashed outside the banquet hall of the palace. After seeing the current person clearly, the little girls in the banquet hall suddenly all lit up. Uncle! Brother Rolling, you are finally back. Brother Luo Ling is really, at least tell us before leaving next time, we will be worried. A group of little girls suddenly opened their mouths. Outside the door, Luo Lin looked at the banquet that had not yet opened, and listened to everyone's heartwarming words, and his heart couldn't help but feel a little happy. Being alone for 36 years of being sealed in the dark underground, everyone is going to be held insane. Since getting out of trouble, the reason why Luo Lin has been able to overcome the 36 years of loneliness is as always. In addition to his own big heart, what's more important is that there are so many little beauties around him. Soothe his manic heart. Sorry for making you wait so long, I won't do it next time. Luo Lin assured. Since the tutor has also returned, let's start quickly. Koala, who was also empty-stomach, stopped abruptly before he finished speaking. Like figure behind Luo Lin. Not just her, but Sabo, Robin, Vivi, and more. Sister Robin, Vivi, what's the matter with you? Nami looked at Vivi with her beautiful eyes in confusion, and then held Robin Vivi's trembling hand. Sabo, what's wrong with you? The banquet can already start. What are you still doing, banquet? The Straw Hat Boy who recovered from the excitement of the banquet shouted. However, no one responded. So it seemed a little embarrassing. Tataro. After recognizing the identity of the man in the tattered marine costume behind Roland, Koala was already shocked and couldn't say a word. On and off, as if stuttering. No wonder. After all, this is their internal private banquet. Who would have thought that people of that level could still be seen in this place? And the enemy. Woo tilde tilde tilde. Robin took a deep breath. However, the fear on his face, his icy little hands and his trembling body were still not relieved. Marine Admiral Kizaru. Quote. Sabo looked solemn and raised his hand to block his younger brother Luffy behind him. What? After learning the identity of the old man in the tattered military uniform from Sabo's mouth, Nami, who was unaware, was completely frightened. Marine Admiral Kizaru. Why is this person here? Vivi looked at his father again in confusion. Cobra, what? Didn't you tell them? Roland also looked at Cobra. I am sorry, Mr. Roland, after all, this is a big deal, so I don't dare to talk nonsense. Cobra said apologetically. Vivi, and everyone, don't be too nervous, Mr. Kizaru is not an outsider, he is Mr. Roland's disciple. Cobra squeezed his hands, signaling everyone to relax. When Cobra's voice fell, the entire banquet hall fell into absolute silence. After a while. Tilda Shinkson. The unanimous voices of surprise from everyone gathered together and resounded through the sky. Wait, Brother Rolling is that Kizaru Admiral's teacher. How can that be? Vivi had an incredible look on his face, and was about to deny it. The next second, her mind unconsciously came to the starting point of the Great Root, Twin Cape that. Memories of the night. That night, from the mouths of Crocus and Brook, the crew members of One Piece, King of Pirates, they learned a little about Roland's past for the first time. It's just that they were almost all drunk at the time. When I woke up the next day, my memory was not very clear, and there were some fragments. Until now. After another shocking shock, the memories in their minds finally became clear. Brother Luo Ling used to be the big 590 brother of One Piece, King of Pirates. Now he is still the teacher of Admiral Kizaru. It's unbelievable, Nami murmured involuntarily. Was the mentor a pirate or a marine before? Koala was completely confused. Long has never mentioned the past of Luo Lin, a revolutionary mentor. To others, even the veterans of the Revolutionary Army are not very clear. Not to mention the juniors like Sabo and Koala. All they knew was the great revolutionary ideas that Roland spoke of. Until now, they have finally come into contact with the past of this teacher revered by the dragon. Their revolutionary mentor Luo Lin, the real identity of those distant decades ago was marine. But even if Roland and Admiral Kizaru have a mentoring relationship, Admiral is Admiral after all. If Admiral Kizaru knew their revolutionary army. Do not. The most dangerous thing is Robin. Sabo and Koala looked at Robin in unison. Oh, it's not Sabo and Koala. I heard Long talk about you. When we met for the first time, I didn't bring any gifts, but it's not Uncle, I'm stingy, I really didn't bring them. Just when Sabo and Koala's heartstrings taut to the limit. Behind Roland, Admiral Kizaru, who was attacking the tattered military uniform, finally spoke. The entire banquet hall fell into absolute silence again. Another moment. Chapter 106 The Mysterious First Generation of the Revolutionary Army, 3/7 subscription. Royal Palace of Albana, Banquet Hall. A banquet, before it starts, is full of twists and turns. First, the sudden appearance of Admiral Kizaru caused Sabo, Koala and Robin to break out in a cold sweat. Then King Cobra told them that Admiral Kizaru turned out to be a disciple of Roland. It's not over yet. Just as Sabo and Koala worry about Robin. Worrying that after Admiral Kizaru recognizes her identity, he will forcibly take action regardless of his relationship with Luo Lin. Or if you don't do it yourself, but you have to report it to the top. Face, Admiral Kizaru, who was amiable and lewd, was staring at the two of them. Sabo, Koala, you are also here with the teacher, so it seems that the teacher has already seen the dragon. I thought I was the first to come, but I didn't expect to be preempted by the dragon. Admiral Kizaru shook his head slightly regretfully. Then, the entire banquet hall of the palace was once again silent because of Admiral Kizaru's words. The voice of surprise from everyone broke through the sky again. Everyone present, except for Cobra and Luffy who later traveled with the boat, were Shimotsuki village. First-hand experience of Party 039. Even Nami now knows what kind of big man 039 dragon is. Founder and leader of the Revolutionary Army. The #1 enemy of the world government. Yet now, the largest institution under the world government, the high-level admiral within Marine, seems to be very familiar with the leader of the Revolutionary Army. What the hell is going on here? As the dragon that Mr. Admiral Kizaru speaks of, Cobra murmured. Then I know. The next moment, Cobra suddenly realized. You know what, Dad? Vivi asked. If I'm not mistaken, the dragon in Mr. Kizaru's mouth was once also Mr. Roland's disciple. They are all fellow disciples on Mr. Roland's boat, for a long time. Cobra said. Mr. Long and Admiral Kizaru are brothers. After hearing Cobra's words, Koala was so shocked that he couldn't help himself. All of a sudden, there were too many shocking information inputs worth pondering, which made her clear mind turn into a piece of mud. Hey, Koala, do you remember what our Mr. Long said before? Besides Mr. Shang and Mr. Ivankov, the veterans of our Revolutionary Army have another mysterious existence who has never appeared. Sabo spoke solemnly. He thought about what he had learned about the past history of the Revolutionary Army. Among the many well-known revolutionary veterans, there was one exception. No name, no appearance, not even the slightest record. But that man is the real old man. It is the first partner of the Revolutionary Army leader Long. Even Tyrant Bear, Ivankov, etc. could be earlier than him. And that veteran's code-named animal in the Revolutionary Army is Monkey. Marine Admiral, Mr. Long's former senior brother Borsellino is Kizaru. Everything is connected. All the bits and pieces are connected at this moment. They seem to know a lot of great secrets today. The past of the mentor Roland, the past of the mysterious leader Dragon, and the true identity of the most mysterious, Monkey 039 veteran. It is precisely because of this that Luo Lin brought Kizaru to this internal banquet without hesitation. Regardless of the original plot, Admiral Kizaru is an undercover agent of the Revolutionary Army. When Luo Lin intervened more than 40 years ago after Kizaru and Long became brothers and sisters. It's all doomed. Because of the shock of successive shocking news, the atmosphere of the banquet in the hall has been diluted a lot. What followed was a long silence. I don't know when, Roland walked up to the sluggish Robin. In the past, Robin, who could speak calmly no matter what the situation was, did not say a word this time. Obviously, the appearance of Admiral Kizaru really frightened the little girl. After all, it was the biggest psychological shadow in Robin's heart and the nightmare of her life. Little Robin, it's all right. Roland's warm big hand fell on Robin's head, stroking gently. The gentle words are like a warm current, refreshing, bringing a touch of warmth to Robin's cold body. Under Luo Lin's comfort, the brilliance of Robin's eyes, who fell into his childhood ink dream, gradually recovered. Uncle. Robin's eyes turned red unconsciously, and he opened his arms and hugged Luo Lin in front of him tightly. You are a hero. Robin murmured softly, and even Nami, who was in front of him, couldn't really hear it. Also my hero. Okay, all right, be happy. After waiting for so long, is it still unavoidable to have a banquet? Roland stroked Robin's black hair and announced the start of the banquet. The first response was naturally Luffy, who liked banquets the most. The boy in the straw hat didn't care about the admiral or the leader dragon at all. On the field, he was the only one who was out of the situation the whole time. The only thing on my mind is the delicious food on the table. Luffy, who had been hungry for a long time, would naturally no longer have the slightest restraint and patience. Finally we can have a banquet. With Luffy's activity, the hall finally smelled like a banquet. The dinner at the palace lasted more than 3 hours. After eating and drinking, everyone returned to their rooms to rest one after another. Teacher, then it's time for me to go back to Marine headquarters. Tomorrow time. When the first smear of fish belly white appeared in Dongfang's sky, Kizaru got up and patted it, finished the night chat with Luo Lin, and was ready to leave. For Admiral Kizaru, this trip to Alabasta has come to an end. Go back. Roland Nuos waved his hand. Oh, teacher, are you not going to keep it? What's there to keep? It's not that we can't see it again in the future. By the way, teacher, you really don't want me to come help you? Anyway, my identity has been exposed. Kizaru asked. If it was to be exposed, it would have already been exposed. Suru's mind is fine. Roland said. That's right. Admiral Kizaru nodded. Then one last question. Say. Teacher, what if sister he knew that there are so many young and beautiful girls around you? Kizaru asked the same question as the dragon of the day. At the same time, his old face is also restored, Guan's wretched smile, a look of schadenfreude. Let's go. Roland kicked Admiral Kizaru's ass off guard, kicking him to the end of the world. Chapter 107 3 Tribunals Admiral Kizaru, 4/7 for subscription. The night has passed. Dawn is coming. The past night was destined to be a sleepless night for everyone. Even the heartless Luffy was forced to talk all night by Sabola. It wasn't until the morning that he was finally able to sleep peacefully. 4 little girls, Robin, Nami, Vivi, and Koala, also held a one-night symposium. From all aspects, sort out the many shocking information that was learned at the banquet last night. Waiting for the combing to end. The little girls finally had a general understanding of Roland's past. As a result, I was even more shocked and couldn't sleep. Early in the morning, Vivi, the princess of Alabasta, came to the bedroom of her hometown wearing panda makeup. One old and one young, the two father and daughter stared at each other. Dad, did you already know Brother Roland's identity? After a long time, Vivi finally spoke. Well, I've recognized Mr. Roland from the first sight. Cobra admitted generously. Then it's the same with EPUB. Yeah, after all, Mr. Roland is the hero of our generation. How could he not recognize him? It's no wonder that Dad and EPUB looked at Roland so strangely, and now I finally know why. Vivi bitter 010 Isho. It's not too late to know now. Vivi, Since you already know that Mr. Roland is from the previous era, it's time to restrain yourself. Even if I don't object, it is already doomed to be impossible between you. King Cobra said with relief. Vivi didn't respond. If you want to change it, it's still too late. First of all, let's start to change the name. Even your father, I have to call Mr. Luo Lin, Uncle Sheng, what's the point of calling him brother all day long? The generations are messed up. Cobra finally couldn't help but make this point. It's decided. Vivi nodded slightly, with a big smile on his face. You know it's better to change. Cobra nodded with a reassuring smile on his face. However, the next moment, looking at the subtle smile on her daughter's face, Cobra suddenly felt a bad premonition. Hee hee. Vivi smiled slyly, two little hands interlaced behind his back. Even now, my heart has not changed. I will boldly pursue my own life. Dad, you don't have to worry about me, hee hee. AJCF. Vivi opened his mouth with a smile and walked away with a brisk pace before the stunned Cobra returned to his senses. Vivi. Cobra had embarrassed words written all over his face. He should have guessed it would be like this. After all, Vivi's character is exactly the same as her mother's. Oh, what is this called? Cobra sighed in disbelief, already at a loss. 9 in the morning. Marine Headquarters, Marineford. Marshal Sengoku, Suru Vice Admiral, Great Kizaru Admiral are back. Marine Headquarters officer who was in charge of guarding the door of Admiral Kizaru's house hurried to the Marshal's office to report. Are you saying that again? Are you sure that Kid Kizaru is back? A loud voice came from outside the door. Yes in Garp, that's right, Kizaru Admiral has returned. If you come back, tell that kid to come and see us quickly. Garp said carelessly. The civilian colonel of Marine Headquarters raised his head and glanced at Marshal Sengoku, and after receiving Sengoku's nod, he responded and hurriedly went out. A quarter of an hour later. The civilian colonel returned with a mournful face. Marshal Sengoku, Garp Vice Admiral, Kizaru Admiral said that he was exhausted from the mission for more than half a month this time and needed a good rest for 10 days and a half month, so let me ask Marshal Sengoku for a half-month vacation for him. What? Want to ask for leave? There's no door. Go back and tell him to come over within a minute. Sengoku 039 growled. Marine's headquarters, who was in charge of running from both ends, suddenly had his knees soft and almost fell to his knees. Here is the Marshal, the hero, there is the Admiral. He is caught in the middle, and it is really unpleasant. Too difficult. Forget it, Garp, it's better for you to take a walk. Vice Admiral Crane saw the embarrassment of the colonel and said. Okay, I'll take a walk, I'll see how tired that kid is going to be. Garp took Colonel Marine, who couldn't walk, out the door and went straight to Kizaru's residence. Garp returned with Admiral Kizaru, a full hour later. There were also 2 more people in the Marshal's office. 2 more young and beautiful beauties Marine. Vice Admiral Suru on the left and right are alternate Admiral Momoshige Gion and Colonel Tina. Garp, too slow. The desk on the left side of the office, Sengoku frowned. I'm sorry, but it's none of my business. Borsellino is so good at writing ink, it took me an hour to take a shower. If I hadn't been able to take it and dragged him out, maybe how long would it have been, Garp said. Mr. Garp, it's too much, just broke into my bathroom like this, what if there are some strange rumors? Kizaru returned to his usual speaking posture, pouted, and complained with a wretched face. Okay, let's all sit down quickly. The right side, Vice Admiral folded his slender hands to hold his chin, and his wise eyes looked at Admiral Kizaru so quietly, as if to see through everything about him. Sit down. Garp carelessly moved a chair to the center of the office and motioned Kizaru to sit down. The front is the legendary Vice Admiral Hiro Garp, on the left is Marshal Sengoku, and on the right is the great staff officer Vice Admiral Crane. The most powerful person among the 3 Marines is staring at Admiral Kizaru at the moment. In this situation, it is no exaggeration to say that there are 3 tribunals. The atmosphere in the office was so solemn that it was impossible to breathe. Especially when Tina saw this scene for the first time, her palms were already sweating nervously. However, facing the gazes of the 3 major marine authorities, Kizaru didn't care at all and sat down generously. Don't be nervous, I even took out a small pair of scissors and started trimming my nails. For a long time. Borsellino, tell me, this time, you volunteered to go to Alabasta to investigate the harvest for more than half a month. Field Marshal Sengoku asked. About that Shichibukai crocodile, about that heavy rain, about that Waesung fortress under construction, and all about the man behind the sand crocodile. Chapter 108 Garp, Gion to Alabasta, 5/7. When the question from Marshal Sengoku fell, the entire office suddenly fell silent again. Only the rustling of Admiral Kizaru's nails, and the crunch of Vice Admiral Garp eating senbei. Oh, Mr. Garp, get me a pack too. Kizaru pointed to the senbei in Garp's hand. I still want to eat my senbei, so I'll answer the question first. Garp said in a bad mood. That's stingy, Mr. Garp. Admiral Kizaru withdrew his hand. Then I'll just talk about it. 3 minutes later about my trip to Alabasta. Admiral Kizaru's trip to Alabasta report tilde end. No more. This is it. Vice Admiral Garp, who didn't hear what he wanted to hear, suddenly widened his eyes. Borsellino, be honest, how much are you hiding? Garp stared at Admiral Kizaru and asked fiercely. That's horrible, Mr. Garp. Kizaru is horrible in one bite. However, he didn't even raise his head, and continued to concentrate on manicuring his nails. What about that person, Borsellino, did you really not see him? Admiral Momojin, the alternate, asked urgently with a worried look on his pretty face. That person, who? Kizaru asked without looking up. Just. Enough, Gion, don't ask, Borsellino has already said all he can. Vice Admiral Crane spoke, interrupting the sister's questioning. Vice Admiral Momoshige Gion looked down and nodded. That sand crocodile, who has been in Alabasta for more than 10 years, wants to steal the country. It really is a wolf's ambition. Sengoku slapped the table sharply. Marshal Sengoku, such a dangerous person should no longer stay in Alabasta, I beg order to deport her. Marine Headquarters Colonel Tina spoke indignantly. Tina couldn't understand the other words in the words of the older generation. His attention was on the kleptocratic plan as told by Admiral Kizaru. Colonel Tina, this is probably not necessary. After 3 days and 3 nights of beating, that crocodile has a long memory. He decided on the spot not to be a pirate, and promised to be a good citizen in the future. And King Cobra of Alabasta has also decided to let the sand crocodile stay there to make atonement. Kizaru said. But, is that the most cunning sand crocodile? What if he is just pretending, but is actually still planning a big conspiracy? Tina frowned and said worriedly. Okay, Tina, just listen to this guy Kizaru, there is no need to worry about Alabasta's side. It wasn't until Vice Admiral Crane spoke that Tina nodded. But the worry between his brows did not diminish. Mr. Sengoku, if there is nothing else, I will go back first, I am really tired these days. Kizaru said slowly. You go. Sengoku waved impatiently. Anyway, if I continue to press this kid, I can't ask anything. And looking at Kizaru's lazy appearance, he was also upset. Before Sengoku could finish speaking, a golden light flashed inside the room. The next moment, Admiral Kizaru was no longer there. Whisper when you come. He walked faster than anyone else. Suru, you say, what's next? I see that Borsellino boy, I've probably seen that guy before. Garp speculated. It's not 80%, it's 100%. Sengoku looked confused. The crocodile kleptocratic plan that Popsolino reported just now is what the guy asked him to tell us, telling us that the Alabasta matter has been resolved, let us not worry and stop interfering. Tsuru Vice Admiral spoke. His young and graceful face was no longer calm. Sister Crane, Mr. Garp, that's what you mean. Listening to the conversation of the three, Momosuke Gion Cherry's small mouth gradually opened, and the shock in her heart gradually turned into joy, which was beyond words. Sister Crane, Sister Gion, who the hell are you talking about? Why can't I understand a word? The only one who was out of the situation was of course Colonel Tina. Forget that person, it will be clear when you see him. Gion's pretty face is full of joy. A heart has already crossed thousands of mountains and rivers, and flew to the other side of the distant sea. That boy Borsellino doesn't say, okay, then I'll go there myself, but I want to ask the guy why he didn't dare to come and see us. Garp made up his mind. This time even if Marshal Sengoku teamed up with Vice Admiral Crane, he would never be able to pull back his bull. Mr. Garp, I'm going to. Gion responded. Okay, count on you. Garp agreed. Tsuru, do you want to come and have a look too? Garp looked towards Tsuru Vice Admiral. Just go, Tsuru Vice Admiral said calmly. Okay, then I'll take a look on your behalf and ask, little girl Gion, let's go. Garp laughed and waved. Gion, who was 39 years old this year, was as happy as a child, pulling Tina, who was bewildered, to follow Garp. Tsuru, are you really not going with us? Sengoku asked in a deep voice after a long time. Don't go. Tsuru Vice Admiral began to process the paperwork in hand. After a while, stop writing. But you, Sengoku, are you ready? Prepare for what? Meet the biggest shock in Marine's hundreds of years of establishment. In the worst case, Marine will be divided because of him. Tsuru Vice Admiral said faintly. Middle Kingdom of Alabasta. Under the vigorous rule of King Cobra, order was almost restored in the country. Calm days passed slowly. As the Princess of Alabasta, Vivi, in her own territory, of course, must do her utmost to the friendship of the landlord. On that day, after frankly speaking with his father Cobra, Vivi happily took Nami, Robin and Koala to experience the prosperity of the capital Albana. Luffy on the other side, under the leadership of the deputy captain of the guard, Belle, went shopping and drinking. For little Luffy, this is simply the ultimate enjoyment. However, the time to enjoy is always short. Hey, Sabo, I want to eat this. This meat looks delicious, I want 100 servings. Luffy pointed at the barbecue on the side of the road, drooling. However, Sabo, who always came to pay the first time before, did not respond this time. Because at this moment, Sabo's attention was already attracted by the odd-shaped trio on the other side of the street, and there was suppressed anger between his expressions. Sir Sabo, what's the matter with you? Belle on the side noticed the change in Sabo's breath, and his face was puzzled. Follow Sabo's line of sight. Those three are the three capable foremen of the Waesung construction site. Belle narrowed his eyes and Vivi recognized the identity of the three. Hey, the three over there, you are not working hard at the construction site, what are you doing in the capital? Do you have a permit? As the deputy captain of the kingdom's guard, he naturally has to routinely interrogate him. Baba, it turned out to be Vice Captain Belle. We are here to find a woman named Nico Robin. Do you know where she is? The spherical mouth of the trio, Fukuro Otonashi subconsciously opened his mouth. It's not good, Chibaba, I missed it again. Righteous. Chapter 109 Mariajoy 5 Old Men. It's not good, Chibaba, I missed it again. C9039 Superman 039, whose body was fat to a ball, Fukuro Otonashi hurriedly covered his zippered mouth. But it was too late. Assassination mission to the Revolutionary Army Branch Chief, Jabra, the son of the revolution, or several previous missions. This time, Otonashi Fukuro once again did not control his big mouth. Once again easily confessed to others, revealed the purpose of the trip. The original mission of infiltrating and secret investigation is unlikely to continue. There may be a huge panic next. But as long as the devil's son can be caught, then everything is worth it. The C9 werewolf Jabra gradually raised a cruel smile on his face. If they can catch the devil's son who the government has been looking for 20 years, even if they accidentally kill the deputy captain of the country's guard, they will not be punished. Hey, you just said you were looking for Miss Robin, right? Who are the three of you? 133, if he still can't sense what's wrong with the three people on the other side, then he doesn't need to be the deputy captain of the Kingdom Guard. The expression on Belle's face gradually became serious, and his right hand subconsciously fell on the long knife around his waist, ready to be unsheathed at any time. Relax, Vice Captain Belle, we have no ill will, just want to. Jabra, who inherited the cunning nature of the Grey Wolf, walked towards Belle with an innocent face. Bend down as you walk, as if to express surrender. In fact, it is the preparation action of predators on the grassland before hunting. When the distance between the two was reduced to within 3 meters, a cruel smile suddenly appeared on Jabra's face. In an instant, his ordinary hands grew fine black hair, which turned into double wolf claws. The sharp wolf claws flickered coldly and stabbed towards Belle's body. 039 Kang 039. As Alabasta's strongest fighter, Belle naturally couldn't be defenseless. The long sword at his waist was unsheathed in an instant. It opened and closed, without defense, but slashed towards Jabra's head. In Belle's imagination, if Jabra did not retreat, his blade would definitely cut off his head. If the other party dodges, he will not be hurt. Attack the enemy to save yourself. This is Belle's usual fighting style. However, this time, Belle was wrong and misestimated the opponent's strength. And he know anything about his opponent this time. Iron block. 039 Kang 039. The long knife in Belle's hand came first and fell directly on Jabra's head. However, there was no blood splashing, just a sound like hammering iron. He tried his best to slash, but he couldn't make even a single scar on Jabra's head. How is this possible? Belle's face was suddenly filled with shock. Looking at Belle's shocked expression, Jabra's cruel smile widened even more. Now it's my turn. Shigan finger pistol 10 Shigan finger pistol. Jabra pierced Belle's body with the sharp wolf claws that shone with a cold light. There was a bloodthirsty light in his eyes. That is the joy of a predator when he is about to taste the blood of his prey. However, the smile on Jabra's face soon solidified. Because he was surprised to find that the 10 Shigan finger pistol that he must hit did not achieve the desired effect. With the last few centimeters remaining from Belle's body, only a pitch-black fist, no, or rather a dragon claw suddenly passed through Belle's armpit, blocking his Shigan finger pistol attack. Who is it? Feeling the terrifying power from the dragon's claws, Jabra's smile turned into shock, suddenly raised his head, and looked behind Belle. It's the three of you, finally let me meet you. Sabo spoke coldly. The power of the armament dragon claw fist exploded in full force. 039 bang 039. Loud. Jabra's steel hard body shook violently. The sharp 10 fingers bent at this moment, and there was a constant crackling sound. Jabra's complexion changed drastically due to the severe pain from his fingers. Jabra pull. On the other side of the street, Fukuro Otonashi and Kumadori also sensed something was wrong, and they stepped forward to help. But don't wait for them to act. Jabra's body flew upside down under Sabo's furious full blow. Kumadori who were helping, and flew out together with them, smashing through the wall of the restaurant behind him. This sudden change caused chaos in the food street in an instant. The crowd screamed and scattered in panic. Your Excellency Sabo, thank you. Belle, who was in a cold sweat, thanked Sabo. If it wasn't for Sabo's shot, he would have been pierced by the opponent's wolf claws. Seriously injured even if not dead. Don't thank me, that's my business too, Sabo said. But who are those three people? First, they sneaked into the construction site of Waisung, and now they came to the capital to indicate that they were looking for Sister Robin and that strange move, a body harder than steel. They are the world government spy organization, C9 killers. Sabo said with a gloomy expression. Reason why he was able to recognize Jabra and the three was also because of an incident not long ago. In the revolutionary base of the New World, their comrade, Jabra Lu, the branch chief with the title of the Son of the Revolution, was secretly secreted by Jabra III. In that incident, a total of 23 fellow revolutionary troops died. Now, the culprit appeared before his eyes. How can Sabo not be angry? What did you say, Your Excellency Sabo? The three of them are from the world government. When he learned the identities of the three Jabra, Bell's face was even more shocked. After a moment, the shock turned into anger. The world government, their hands are too long, this is our alabasta. Bell said angrily. Sabo, Bell, what's wrong? What happened? The Straw Hat Boy asked suspiciously. Hey, Sabo, what's going on here? Bell, what's going on? Luffy, aren't you the one making trouble again? At this moment, the four Robins happened to come to the food street for food. Seeing this chaotic scene, Koala, Vivi, and Nami immediately asked questions one after another. Cough cough. In the whole of the restaurant, 3 C9 members, Jabra, Kumadori, and Otonashi Fukuro, got up and walked out one after another. After seeing Robin on the other side, Jabra's eyes suddenly lit up. Even the pain of being deflated before is forgotten. There are no words. Jabra, Kumadori, and Otonashi Fukuro, who have been partners for many years, shave with Rokushiki while tacit understanding, and suddenly disappeared from the spot. Miss Robin, be careful. Sabo hurriedly shouted to remind him that if he moved, he would return to help. However, at this moment, without warning, an invisible coercion like the power of the sky descended from the sky. It happened to cover the three Jabras who were moving at a high speed on the 57th. 039 bang 039. A loud bang. Jabra who vacated the air and fell heavily to the ground under the pressure. 3 human-shaped pits appeared in the street. No vomit. Under the overwhelming pressure, Jabra and the three of them spit out a mouthful of blood. At this moment, not even the Rokushiki iron nugget could protect them. At the last moment when consciousness is about to be lost, a stalwart figure appeared in the sight of Jabra, Kumadori, and Otonashi Fukuro. He looked down on them like a god. Oh, the 5 old men above Mariajoy sent you 3 idiots here, and they look down on me too much. Going Joe in one hand, and sneered lightly. You. CS with a variety of emotions such as shock, fear, anger, doubt, confusion, etc. The 9 members didn't have time to say anything, and it was dark in front of their eyes, and they completely passed out. Chapter 110. Tell the world to invite heroes all over the world. The capital city of Albana Food Street. There was silence at the moment. Because of the conflict between Sabo and the C9 trio, the civilians on the street were frightened and fled. Only the people in 2s and 3s have the courage to watch the situation here. So, they were shocked to see Belle, the deputy captain of the Kingdom Guard. Princess Vivi who came later. C9 grotesque trio rising from the ruins of the restaurant. In the end, they saw a young man holding a little girl. When he appeared, the air between heaven and earth seemed to freeze at that moment. Immediately afterwards, a vast aura descended from the sky. Like the power of heaven, it is also the punishment of God. Even if they were not under that pressure, people could not help but feel a sense of shock and awe in their hearts. Unconsciously want to worship. And so is the outsider standing in the distance. C9 trio locked in by that vast aura. Under the domineering atmosphere, the 3 people in Rokushiki's shaved sky were forced to show up. With a loud bang, Jabra pulled the 3 of them to the ground heavily at the same time. The strength is so great that the solid ground is densely packed with cracks like cobwebs. Rokushiki iron block defense that they opened up for the first time collapsed in an instant. The 5 internal organs in the body were like turning over the river and the sea, and finally spit out a mouthful of blood unconsciously. What kind of power is this? At this moment, Jabra, Kumadori, and Otonashi Fukuro had no other emotions than shock and fear in their hearts. What stealth mission? What devil's son Nico Robin? All were forgotten by him. They never imagined that besides Sabo, there are even more terrifying existences in this place. The 5 elders above Mariajoy. At this moment, Jabra and the 3 found that there were 2 blurred figures, one big and one small, in their sight. Immediately afterwards, a casual voice gradually echoed in their minds. Mariajoy, the 5 elders. Gorose, 5 elders, what the hell is this person? Jabra and the 3 of them realized who the 5 old men were referring to. So the shock inside is even more. Next second, Jabra, Kumadori, and Fukuro took this shock and completely fainted under the pressure of the ultimate conqueror. The whole food street was silent. Little lowly-going Joe squatted down beside the ball-like Otonashi Fukuro, eating candied haws. Poking Fukuro's ball body. Immediately after, will Fukuro mouth. The zipper on the top closes, then pulls open. Repeat several times. A smile suddenly appeared on a small face, obviously this zipper mouth was very interested. Lord Vivi, Bell, what happened here? After receiving reports from the people, Jackal-Yaka, another deputy captain of the kingdom's guards, rushed to the food street with a large number of guards as soon as possible. Brother Rolling, Bell, who are these 3 people? Vivi also stepped forward and asked in confusion. Princess Vivi, Gaka, this time is no small matter, this is not the place to talk. Bell said solemnly. Of the world government's espionage organization actually infiltrated their capital of Alabasta. This is of course no small matter. If it is not handled properly, huge international problems will occur. Sabo, these 3 bastards. Koala, who also came to the front, saw Jabra pulling the 3, and a layer of frost appeared on her pretty face. Obviously, like Sabo, he recognized the identities of the 3 of them. Koala, this is not the place to talk. Sabo reminded. Koala then quickly raised his hand to cover his mouth. Due to the troubles of the C9 trio, the group's visit to the capital was forced to end early. Royal Palace of Albana. Cobra and Ecolem, who received the report from the guards, were already waiting in the hall. Seeing the return of Roland and his party, Cobra stepped forward anxiously. Mr. Roland, what is the urgent matter? Cobra asked eagerly. It's nothing, but I just caught a few thieves. Luo Lin said indifferently. Because to him, C9 Thief's killer is really no different from an ordinary thief. Bell, it's up to you. Ecolem looked at Bell. Yes. Bell nodded and threw the unconscious C9 trio to the ground in the hall. Lord Cobra, these 3 were foremen who were introduced by the famous Lars company a month ago, and they did show great ability during the month at the construction site, but I didn't know the 3 of them until today from the mouth of Your Excellency Sabo. The true identity of. They are the killers of the World Government Intelligence Organization C9. What? The killer of the World Government. C9. C and the 9th Espionage Organization. The 3 of Cobra, Ecolem, and Gaka exclaimed in surprise. Vivi, who also knew what the government C organization was, also widened his eyes. The killers of the world government. What do they want to do when they come to the capital? Could it be that they want to assassinate someone? Gaka's eyes widened. Send killers to the allied countries, especially our capital of Alabasta. Is it possible that the government that does this kind of thing is crazy? Ecolem was also full of disbelief. After all, if this kind of thing is exposed, it will definitely do all the harm to the world government. It will make other more than 170 member countries panic. Lord Cobra, Captain, in fact, the goal of these 3 is to. Belt paused, and his eyes fell on Robin with a dignified face. Their target was me. It should have been when our ship passed the Waesung construction site that day, and they saw it. Sorry. Robin said calmly. The palace hall was suddenly silent for a moment. Robin looked down. Obviously, he is disturbed by the incident that he caused. The fear from the world government's 20-year pursuit made Robin subconsciously reflect on whether he is qualified to stay here. Their own sake, let Vivi and the others. What are you talking about, Sister Robin? We are partners, there is no need to say sorry between partners. Just before Robin's thoughts reached a dead end, Vivi suddenly held her cold little hand, sending her a touch of warmth. Yes, Vivi is right, Sister Robin, if the people from the world government come again, I will protect you. Nami patted the bear's breast and said. Miss Robin, you are no longer alone, we are all your partners, Koala said. Robin, your enemy is mine, and I'll protect you. Luffy grinned. Nicole Robin, I have also listened to the rumors from the outside world before, and I detested the son of Devil 543. Here, I want to apologize to you. King Cobra took 2 steps forward and bowed deeply to Robin. I believe in Mr. Roland, so for you who can be regarded as a partner by Mr. Roland, I will no longer have any doubts and vigilance in the future. In addition, I also want to know about my ancestors. Neferutali family 800 years ago, who commissioned the secret that we Alabasta guarded from generation to generation. If Miss Robin finds out in the future, please feel free to let me know. Cobra spoke sincerely. You. Listen to the encouragement and warm words of partners and sisters. Robin only felt warm currents flowing in his heart. The body that was originally powerless because of the appearance of the government killers gave birth to infinite power. For the first time since the O'Hara incident 2 decades ago, it was the first time she felt surrounded by so many warm people. For the first time, she truly felt the bond of a partner connecting her. Thank you. Robin's eyes were wet. 2 happy tears crossed her pretty face. It must be hard to live in hiding for 20 years without seeing the light of day. Roland finally spoke, and his right hand gently stroked Robin's head. Me too, but I don't need it anymore. Luo Lin said faintly. Uncle. Robin was stunned. Belle, how long will it take for the city to be completed? Roland asked. 2 months. Belle replied. 2 months, good. Roland nodded. Then 2 months later, invite all the heroes. Tell the world. Chapter 111. The Straw Hat Reunion gathers. 2 months later. Tell the world, all the heroes are invited. When Luo Lin's voice fell, everyone in the palace hall froze. Even if he was as carefree as Luffy, at this moment, he could hear a breath of wind and rain from Luo Lin's words. There are still 2 months. 2 months later, this sea may usher in the biggest wave in the era of the great pirates so far. After staying and playing for 3 days in Albana, the capital, Luo Lin and his party came to the base camp of the original Baroque works. Dream City Rain. A palace is a palace after all. It is Cobra used to handle national affairs. Even Roland would not be able to use it as a temporary office for the work club. Therefore, until the completion of Waesung City, the base camp is still temporarily set in the rain. When Luo Lin brought everyone to the Pyramid Rain Banquet. Wearing conspicuous panda makeup and bloodshot eyes, Crocodile has been waiting outside the door for a long time. Little Crocodile, I haven't given you any tasks these days, have I? Looking at Crocodile's haggard appearance, Luo Lin asked with concern. No, it's my own problem. Crocodile shook his head, and there was a hint of inexplicable in his eyes looking at Roland. In the past, he was afraid of Luo Lin's powerful strength. Fear of the secrets Roland held about him. But now, the fear in his eyes have all turned into awe. Witness the shocking conversation between Roland and Admiral Kizaru 4 days ago. Plus these 4 days of in-depth investigation. He has now basically guessed what kind of character Roland is. The more in-depth understanding, the more in awe he becomes. Has the East Blue thing been basically resolved? Roland asked. Yes. Crocodile nodded honestly. According to your instructions, R1 they are all on their way back, and they will be here soon. Boss 11's Crocodile's voice just fell, and there was a cheering sound not far away. Ha ha ha, boss, finally see you again. The #1 little fangirl ISS Valentine's Day toe on the ground lightly. With the help of the ability of the floating fruit to reduce his weight infinitely, he floated towards Luo Lin like a balloon. Just when the distance between ISS Valentine and Luo Lin was still 10 meters, a young man in a suit and leather shoes suddenly flashed past and blocked her in front of her. Who? Sign up first. Luffy, who said at the palace that day that he wanted to be Robin's bodyguard, spoke in an old-fashioned manner. The Straw Hat Boy dressed in a decent black suit, at this moment, the attitude of interception, let alone, does have the meaning of a bodyguard. Luffy's sudden spoiler forced the ISS Valentine to stop. Ah, Miss Valentine's Day, wait for me. Brow Chef, Sanji Kurozu, who came with ISS Valentine's Day, ran wild, bringing up a frantic smoke. Cough cough. People who were hit by the smoke from the eyebrow-curling Chef Sanji coughed. Hey, the curly brow bastard in front, I think you really want to die. 3 bright knife lights flashed in the yellow sand and dust. A young man with a green algae head hurried over with a knife in hand. Sanji of Bharati, a restaurant on the sea, came with ISS Valentine's Day. Zoro, the 3 swordsmen of the green algae head, it was brought by the booger agent R5. The curly eyebrows Sanji and the green algae head Zoro, this pair of happy friends, no matter where they go, they are destined to pinch. In front of the Pyramid Rain Banquet, it was also lively because of their arrival. The battle of fate between Zoro and Sanji lasted less than half a minute, and was stopped by Luffy and Sabo one by one. Okay, you should be Bharatiya's Chef Sanji, please give me more advice in the future. Sabo raised his hand to block Sanji's powerful kick and opened his mouth with a smile. Hey, you look like a powerful swordsman. Do you want to join my pirate group with me? Although I don't have money, ships, or anything right now, do you want to try? The handsome bodyguard who had only been a bodyguard for a while, Luffy had broken his skills and hurriedly sent an invitation to Zoro. Are you crazy? Suddenly being warmly invited by Luffy, Zoro gave him a sideways glance, as if looking at 2 fools. However, because of Luffy's interruption, he lost the interest to settle accounts with Sanji. 3 knives in their sheaths. Zoro walked up to Luo Lin with a look of excitement and bowed deeply respectfully. Mr. Roland, I had a fight with that Hawkeye. Zoro reported excitedly. The result? I lost completely, I'm not an opponent at all. Zoro gave a wry smile. Just come back next time. Luo Lin said lightly. Robin, Crocodile and others who were in front of Ling were speechless. This is too easy to say. Bai Jing, that eagle eye that can stand at the top of the swordsman. With this young and vigorous green algae head, the possibility is almost zero. Zoro didn't know about Crocodile's inner slur. Even if you know, you won't be hit. Because what Rollins said was exactly what he was going to do. One next time, must win. Zoro said imposingly. That's the momentum. Roland patted Zoro's shoulder in encouragement. The East Blue expedition has yielded countless rewards. A celebration banquet is of course a must. 7 days in a row. The second floor of the Pyramid Rain Banquet is always prepared with sumptuous banquet food and wine to welcome the arrival of East Blue agents. The next day, Usopp and Kuro of 100 Plans from Syrup Village arrived with R3 Galtino. With the arrival of Usopp, the East Blue members of the original Straw Hat gathered here in another way. However, now their respective fates have undergone tremendous changes. On the 3rd day, Shemale Bentham returned. The 4th day, R4 Beb returned with his partner, Old Lady Christmas. On the 5th day, ISS Hans the King's Jiao referred Azala and his partner R1 Daz Bones returning to the Rain Feast. The main responsible personnel of the next South Blue operation are here. The second meeting of the WA organization was still held in the Yuyun Underground Conference Room. The first decision was the East Blue Plan. And this time the target of the plan is South Blue. The overall leader of the South Blue operation is Sabo. The positions of strategist and staff officer fall to Kuro of 100 Plans. As soon as he joined, he was given such an important appointment, and Captain Kuro couldn't help but be flattered. In his heart, he secretly vowed to complete this task perfectly and express himself well. In addition to Sabo and Kuro, other senior agents, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji and others also received their respective tasks from Robin. I smell adventure. Captain Usopp's 8,000 men will be in place soon. The youth in the straw hat and the big talker Usopp exclaimed no. Chapter 112 Garp is here and Hawkeye is here 2/7 for order. The 2-hour meeting ended. The participants dispersed one after another, mostly preparing for the mission trip. But there are exceptions. For example, the boy in the straw hat and the big talker Usopp, who were simply taking it as an adventure, are now pulling Zoro and Sanji back to the second floor to continue the banquet. Crocodile were left in the huge underground conference room. Uncle, will this mission be too difficult for them? It wasn't until everyone left that Robin finally gave his opinion, and his eyes were full of worry. After this East Blue incident, South the underground dark forces on Blue's side are all ready. I got information that many dark forces on South Blue's side have united and are ready. Now they can be regarded as a piece of iron. Roland nodded. Let Luffy, Usopp, Zoro, and Sanji form a team, and hand over Mandemon Jin's team to them. As for the other team assignments, you can just follow the old way. Roland said. Uncle, what I mean is that compared to South Blue, the composition of our staff is too mixed at present. Except for Mandemon Jin, the overlord of East Blue's Krieg pirates, most of them surrendered only to the threat of death. In addition, there are many new outlaws added by East Blue, which cannot be completely trusted. Even if Sab is capable and Kuro's strategy helps, the final result of this South Blue operation may not be too optimistic, and it will not be as smooth as the East Blue one. The more he spoke, the more worried Robin's face became. Roland looked at Robin quietly. After confirming that Robin had finished speaking, Roland finally spoke. Little Robin, your concerns are indeed right. After this East Blue incident, people like Lufield, Jigula, and Umid in the lower world may have already hated the little crocodile. Crocodile. Halfway through my crocodile's heart, the whining came to an abrupt end. Because he responded. This trip to East Blue was led by Roland. But the face of the face is always his Shichibukai. Naturally, the dark forces in the underground world will count the debt on him. Crocodile's face turned black when he thought that he had unknowingly taken another big black pot. I also thought that the massive treasures seized by the East Blue operation were invested in the construction of the city, and I had no. After the dime relationship, Crocodile's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. Little Crocodile, do you have any complaints? Roland asked with a smile. Crocodile immediately shook his head. South Blue is different from East Blue. Those dark forces have been rooted for a long time, and their forces are intertwined. Even if we have information, it is difficult to completely bite down by surprise. Roland continued. Since you already know, Uncle, why do you still? Little Robin, this was originally a training session. Luo Lin said quietly. Practice, soldier. The expression on Robin's pretty face gradually shook. So far, she has never thought about it. In other words, she was not bold enough to think about the possibility in this regard. After the trip to East Blue, the staff of the work club has expanded from the original 2,000 to 10,000. As you said, Robin, the composition of the staff is mixed. This is not the organization I want. This South Blue operation, from the time Saab and the others stepped into South Blue, was a head-on game war. What I want to exercise is Saab's leadership, Kuro of 100 plans, overall view, and condensed organizational strength. Exclude the. In addition, there are thousands of subordinates who are mixed with fish and dragons. If any of them want to go against the water, they will all jump out of this operation. What we have to do is to erase them. After the South Blue operation this time, it is estimated that 2,000 people will survive and return. Only after going through the war and returning alive can they be called members of the WA organization. The huge conference room on the ground floor fell into absolute silence. Not just Robin. Crocodile, who has always been ruthless, was shocked by Luo Lin's 039 training. His eyes widened and he was speechless for a long time. The 10,000 subordinates that I have finally expanded, will be reduced by 80% in one operation. Both the process and the result are destined to be cruel. But, if not, how can the chaos in the organization be cleared in the shortest possible time? If not, how can we train a master of 100 battles? This, Hero 039, is this how Marine used to be trained? What a horrible individual. Crocodile watched Roland's back, the awe in his eyes deepened. What Crocodile was thinking. But there was no need to explain anything to him. In the past, although Luo Lin treated his subordinates very harshly, he would never be so mad that he would let his 10,000 recruits go through this kind of war, and in the end there were only 2,000 left. Different situations will naturally lead to different decisions. Among the 10,000 people under his command, there are 2,000 Kuro agents, 7,000 pirates from the East Blue Overlord Krieg pirates, Alvita pirates, and more, as well as more than 1,000 desperados who joined for treasure. Only. These people are different from Marine's aspiring teenage recruit. Roland will naturally not feel any distress when using it. I see. After a long time, Robin took a deep breath and nodded heavily. Call. Crocodile on the other side also let out a long breath, secretly glad that he was not in charge of this operation. Otherwise, the pressure will be too great. Little Crocodile, you don't think you have nothing to do you? Roland squinted at Crocodile. Under Luo Lin's gaze, Crocodile suddenly tightened, and AJDC felt that something was wrong. You are no longer on the list of actions on the bright side this time, but the strength gap between the enemy and us can't be too big, so I need you as a guerrilla to fight the nests of those dark forces one by one. All over. Roland rode. Crocodile flushed, fists clenched. Let him go to all the dark forces dens alone. Even me, I can't guarantee that I will get out. Crocodile growled inwardly. Don't worry, it's not for you to kill them all, just to reduce some pressure on Sabo and them to distract each other at the right time. Aren't you the man who can be with Borsellino for 5 to 3 days? It shouldn't be possible, right? Roland asked with a smile. Yes. Crocodile finally nodded heavily. South Blue, S039 Training 039 operation is set. That night. After the last carnival. More than 500 trade expedition ships set off from the port of Waisung in Alabasta, and headed for South Blue. 3 days later. No noisy sob, Luffy. The Pyramid Rain banquet suddenly became a lot deserted. But occasionally there will be flashes on their faces. Silk lost. Because they actually want to go to South Blue for Adventure 039 in their hearts. South Blue can't go though. But there are other places to go. The banks of the Santa Dora Canal. Nami, Bibi, Koala, and Little Loli going boarded the Going Merry one by one happily one by one. Rolingo, where are we going to venture? Vivi asked impatiently. Sure enough to go to South Blue. Koala guessed. If it's the water capital, I heard Sister Robin contact the Carrera company over there yesterday to discuss the business of ships. Nami said. Neither. Roland shook his head. Our destination this time is above. Roland pointed to the sky. Heart. The little girls suddenly screamed in unison. Heaven. Sky Island. Going Bell. Realizing the destination, Robin suddenly looked excited. But, Uncle, what are we going to do? Robin was about to ask how to get to Sky Island. Next second, the hull of the Going Merry shook slightly. A circle of purple ripples spread out from Roland's feet and spread around the hull. of the little girls. Going merry takes off. At the same time, the direction of the west blue shore where Alabasta Waysung is located. The two warships sailed side by side toward the Waysung construction site. Ha ha ha, it's coming soon, bastard, just wait for me. Marine legend Vice Admiral in a dog head hat speaks viciously. Brother, we finally meet. On another bunny-eared warship, Vice Admiral Guillaume in a pink military robe put his hands in front of the murderer, his face full of joy and anticipation. Guillaume's sister, why is there a ship flying over there? At this moment, Tina, the beautiful Colonel Marine who was on the same boat, suddenly exclaimed, her beautiful eyes widened, and her face was full of shock. Huh, ship, flying in the sky. Momoshiki Guillaume turned her head in confusion and looked in the direction Tina pointed, but she couldn't see anything. Did you see it wrong, Tina? Guillaume asked. No, there is really a ship, and that ship is flying into the clouds now. Tina defended excitedly. The other side. The port city of Alabasta is located off the coast of Naloha. A coffin boat wafted in the wind. A certain moment, the world's largest swordsman on board, Mahawk, the Eagle Eye, suddenly stood up. The sharp sword intent shattered the clouds in the sky. Hee hee. The world's #1 swordsman Mahawk, who has always been unsmiling, has a rare twitch at the corner of his mouth at this moment. It's not really that coincidental, is it? Chapter 113 Tina is messy again, Cobra is dumbfounded, 3/7. From Marine headquarters inevitably attracted the attention of the workers. Marine's warship is here again. What the hell is going on here? Aren't we just building a city? Last time it was Mr. Marine Admiral Kizaru, this time I don't know who it will be. It won't be another adult in Marine, will it? Workers at the construction site have put down their work and waited eagerly. I want to see what kind of big man is coming this time. And have a good bragging about it with the neighbors nearby. Under the gaze of tens of thousands of eyes on the construction site, the two warships, Doghead and Rabbit Ear, entered the crescent-shaped harbor side by side. Ha ha ha, Guillaume, look at this place, although the architectural style is different, but the layout and the previous Marine headquarters are simply carved out of a mold. Marine legend Vice Admiral Garp is holding a large bag of senbei, eating, while standing at the bow of the boat pointing the country. Yeah, Mr. Garp, maybe we can come here for a long time in the future. Mamoe Guillaume stood on the bow of the rabbit-eared boat, with a bright smile on her pretty face. Guillaume-sama, you must be joking. Not to mention the impact of the Marine headquarters, shape here. This is the crocodile's property. It's the pirates' territory. Marine headquarters Colonel Tina, with long pink hair and fluttering hair, widened her beautiful eyes, looking at the powerful sister she longed for in disbelief. That's not the case, Tina. Guillaume turned back and winked playfully at the junior girl. It's not like that, what is it? Tina was messed up again. Tina hasn't slept well at night since she participated in the 3-challenge trial of Admiral Kizaru, who returned Alabasta that day. My head is full of thoughts about the person in Guillaume, Garp, Sengoku, Suru and others, and I want to know who that person is. No matter how you think about it, you can't think of anyone in this world who deserves so much attention from their Marine's admiral, heroes, marshals, and staff. Guillaume, Tina, then. Well, I know I'll find out when I see it. The next second, before Guillaume spoke, Tina took the lead in grabbing Guillaume's lines, which she said many times. Guillaume. Originally, she was a little unbearable, thinking that she was going to the place anyway. Why don't she confess to the schoolgirl and let her have a mental preparation first? Never thought that Tina herself would answer. Guillaume was suddenly dumbfounded. I had to swallow the words that came to my mouth again. If Tina knew that because of her own quick answer, she missed the opportunity to learn the truth, I am afraid she would be so messy that she wanted to cry again. The work of speaking. The Doghead and Rabbit Ear warships docked one after another. Ha ha ha, what about the person in charge here? Let him come out and say it's an old friend. Garp, wearing a dog hat, laughed heartily, and his voice was loud and boundless. You are Garp, Vice Admiral of Marine. Is it really Garp, Vice Admiral? That hero Garp is here. When the nearby workers recognized Garp's identity and shouted out, the entire construction site immediately boiled over. Marine's hero, the legendary Vice Admiral Garp, who is chasing One Piece, King of Pirates Roger, is here. What a bummer this is. Admiral Kizaru, such a big man, is no worse than Admiral Kizaru. Garp, Vice Admiral. Mr. Garp, I'm your fan. Hero Garp, please sign for me. The scene was instantly boiling. Be still, be still, be still. A senior foreman shouted with a loudspeaker phone bug. Garp, Vice Admiral definitely has something important to look for this time. Don't make trouble, it's a big delay. Under the deterrence of the foreman's words, the enthusiasm on the construction site was finally reduced a bit. After a while, the general person in charge of the construction site, the young Kosha, was sent to Garp with a bewildered face. Kakaka Garp, Vice Admiral, I am the person in charge here, please ask. Rao is a talent like Kosha, and in front of the hero Garp, he has completely lost his calmness in the past. He was so nervous that he couldn't even speak. No wonder. After all, he had just heard Garp talking about seeing an old friend. Him and Garp. What kind of old friend? Could it be that Marine knew about him as the leader of the rebel army? Even if King Cobra forgave him, Marine still wanted to bring him to court-martial. The more Kosa thought about it, the more she felt that this was the truth. Mr. Garp, I'm going with you, it's all because of me, not anyone else. Kosha sighed, raised his hands on his own, ready to accept the shackles. Garp had question marks written all over his face. What are you doing, little baby? Garp asked in confusion. Don't you come to catch me, Mr. Garp? Kosha's eyes widened. The first time I saw you, why did I arrest you? Garp glared. Stop playing, call your family. No, it's the master of this city. Garp said. Mr. Garp, are you here to find Crocodile? It's a coincidence that Crocodile went to South Blue 3 days ago. Kosha responded and replied immediately. No, not the sand crocodile, it's the guy behind the crocodile. Garp corrected with a wave of his hand. Flowers. The man behind Shichibukai Crocodile. Kosha's eyes widened in surprise. Although he had already guessed it, he was still shocked by the confirmation from the hero Garp. Forget it, the little baby doesn't know what you look like, so please inform King Cobra. Garp said. Yes, right now. Kosha reacted and immediately contacted the king and others of the capital Albana through the phone bug. What? After learning that the hero Garp is now in Alabasta, the palace of Albana is thrown into chaos. 36 years ago, Roland was the hero of Marine, the hero of the world, and the hero of many people's hearts. Similarly, Garp and Roland have the same status in people's hearts. Garp is also their boyhood hero. What should I do? Mr. Garp must have come to know about Mr. Roland's affairs in our country. It stands to reason that with the relationship between the two, even if they met, they would definitely enjoy the wine, but Cobra was anxious like an ant on a hot pot, pacing the hall. Lord Cobra. The captain of the guard, Ikaram, ran quickly. How? Ikaram, have you told Mr. Rollins about them? What did he say? Cobra asked again and again. Lord Cobra, I just contacted Princess Vivi. Princess. What did Vivi say? Princess Vivi said that they are no longer in Alabasta and are going to play in the sky. Ikaram pointed to it in disbelief. Mr. Roland asked the princess to let the king handle it for you, and let it go. Cobra. See how to do it. What kind of way is it to send it casually? King Cobra was dumbfounded. Oh, no matter, I'll go to the port first. Bell, ready to go. Cobra said. Yes, Lord Cobra. The bell of the falcon transforms into the form of a falcon on the spot. I'm going too. Ikaram said that he was about to jump on Bell's eagle's back together. I didn't think about it, but it was empty. Captain EPUB, Lord Cobra is heavy enough. With your body, I can't bear it. Belle, who is in the eagle state, smiled wryly. Haha, let's do it, let's go, then you can go back early. EPUB scolded Isho, and had to give up the idea. Lee. Eagle Falcon Belle soared into the sky and galloped towards the port with Cobra. After an hour. Watchung Crescent Harbor has arrived. Mr. Garp. Cobra shouted excitedly. Chapter 114 Hawkeye, I'm too hard. Mr. Garp. Over the Crescent Harbor of Waisung City. Belle, the Falcon, arrives with King Cobra. Garp, who is bragging and spanking with the ordinary workers on the construction site, and talking about his chasing after One Piece, King of Pirates Roger, and a series of other glorious deeds, paused. Other Alabasta people also heard the shouts from the sky and raised their heads one after another. Lord Cobra. It's His Excellency the King. Lord Cobra actually came in person. The people on the construction site exclaimed in unison, and hurriedly made an open space for Belle to land. Okay everyone, the storytelling time has passed, let's spread it out now, the King and Garp Vice Admiral should have something important to talk about. Kosha said. Alabasta, who have always been simple and honest, also know the importance and retreat. Oh, this is not King Cobra, the last time we met was at the World Conference 2 years ago. Garp greeted. Yes, Mr. Garp. Cobra nodded. Last time I troubled Mr. Garp to send me and Vivi back. Don't care, that's what I am supposed to do with 923. Garp waved his hand. After a moment of greeting. Garp's gaze spread instantly with observation hockey, carefully examining every movement of the grass for dozens of miles. Isn't that guy going to come out and meet my old brother? Garp lowered his voice, a hint of anger and dissatisfaction on his face. King Cobra, he must be in Alabasta, right? Marine Headquarters candidate Admiral Momoshige Gion stepped on the moon step and approached valiantly, followed by Colonel Tina. You're Gion Vice Admiral of the Headquarters, Mr. Garp, Cobra was surprised. You may not know that Gion is the orphan that Guy rescued from the battlefield 40 years ago, the equivalent of his daughter, Garp explained. What? Mr. Roland's Cobra widened his eyes in surprise. In a moment of urgency, he accidentally blurted out. Oh, it's really here. Garp showed a smug look like a bag. Gion's pretty face was even more excited, holding Tina's hands as happy as a child. At this moment, Colonel Tina 039 knee is messy. What did she just hear? That person. Sister Crane and Mr. Garp are the ones they said. The person who made Gion-san don't want to eat and drink, turned out to be Gion-san's daddy. What kind of fantasy drama is this? The senior she longed for, the most outstanding female Marine in the Marine School's history, actually has a father, isn't it? Dad has everyone. It's just Gion-san's father. Tina's head was empty, and her face was stunned. Well, Mr. Garp, I confess. Having said that, Cobra had no choice but to confess. I only found out some time ago that the one who has been sleeping under the earth of our Alabasta, but now, Mr. Garp, it's really not a coincidence that you are here. Cobra apologized to Isho. What's wrong? Can he still go to heaven? Garp said with a beard. Yes. Cobra nodded heavily. Huh. Garp stared again. Don't fool me, Cobra, I'll just say it casually. As expected of Mr. Garp, he said it right away, Cobra said. I don't know the details, but according to the little girl Vivi, they are indeed in the sky now. Cobra said seriously. Garp was stunned. Gion's pretty face on the side was full of disappointment. Immediately after, she seemed to think of something, and quickly raised her head. Tina, you were right just now. Gion opened his mouth. Without waiting for Tina to ask what was right or wrong, Gion stepped on the moon step and went straight to the sky. Mr. Garp, don't worry, although I don't know when they will come back, but in 2 months, you will definitely be able to see him at the opening ceremony of the city in 2 months. Cobra affirmed. 2 more months. That old boy doesn't know me. Garp clenched his 039 iron fist and loosened it again. I want to see you again too. Garp sighed, thinking back to those days when he fought side by side more than 40 years ago. At the same time, when a unique coffin boat slowly and leisurely entered the crescent-shaped harbor, the nearby workers suddenly widened their eyes again in amazement. That person. Kosha narrowed his eyes, feeling that the people on that ship were somewhat familiar. Don't wait for him to think about it. The next second, the heroic man on the coffin ship came to him. Where is the person in charge here? Hawkeye Mahawk asked calmly. Ah. Kosha was stunned again. What the hell is going on today? It was Marine hero Garp Vice Admiral just now, and now it's this one, a swordsman who is not easy to mess with. Why did they have to find the person in charge? It's so hard for me today. Kosha was a little tired. Just wanted to admit to Hawkeye that he was the person in charge of the construction site. At this moment, a bright sword light flashed from the dog-headed warship and slashed at him. Under that dazzling and terrifying sword light, Koshalian, who was only a little more powerful than ordinary people. The thoughts of silk resistance can't be borne. But he didn't need to resist. Because this sword light was not pointing at him. The next second, the heroic man standing in front of him pulled out the huge black knife behind him. A knife swung out at will, annihilating the sword light. As expected of you, the world's largest swordsman, Hawkeye Mahawk, just Hawkeye Mahawk, what the hell are you doing here today? On the dog's head of the dog-headed warship, the adjutant beside Garp, the swordsman named Bogart, took his sword. When Bogart's voice fell, the entire harbor was suddenly silent. And Kosha finally remembered the identity of the heroic man in front of him. A man who stands at the top of all swordsmen in the world. The world's greatest swordsman, Shichibukai Mahawk. Wow 039. The next moment, there was an uproar. Not just on the job site. There are also thousands of sailors aboard 2 warships. What's the matter? It's so noisy. Garp, who was awakened by the uproar of the crowd, poked his ears carelessly. Mr. Garp, it's Hawkeye, and that Hawkeye actually came here. Tina said anxiously. What? Cobra and Bell both shocked the petrochemical. Oh, that Hawkeye. Garp seemed to think of something. The crowd spread out a road. Hey, Hawkeye, what are you doing here? Garp walked towards Hawkeye while picking his booger. Marine, Garp. The expression on Hawkeye's face finally moved. I remember you wandering around East Blue and then going to the high town of Goa Kingdom to make a scene, right? Garp asked. Yes. Hawkeye nodded succinctly. Then have you seen that guy before? So you're chasing him all the way? Garp asked curiously. Hawkeye was stunned. But he nodded subconsciously. Although he didn't know who the guy Garp was talking about, his instinct told him that he should be the same person he thought. Marine Garp also came to find him. Who is that mysterious great swordsman? The first time, Hawkeye Mahawk became interested in the identity of 039, the mysterious great swordsman 039. Ha ha ha, I knew it was like this. How could a man like you come here for no reason? Garp laughed heartily. Hearing the words, the people around them looked at each other in dismay, not knowing why. I just want to have a good fight with him. Hawkeye crossed the knife, indicating his intention. Ha ha ha, that's really unfortunate, that guy just went to heaven not long ago. Garp laughed. Hawkeye. The ominous foreboding near the port of Naroha not long ago came true. He really came a step late again. 49 This damn broken ship, let Vegapunk give me 10 more power next time. Hawkeye thought to himself, and Vivi twitched again at the corner of his mouth. It's so hard. Looking at Hawkeye's small expression, Garp suddenly laughed mercilessly. The anger he had generated when he heard the news of that guy from heaven earlier dissipated with the appearance of Hawkeye, who had the same illness. Hawkeye Mahawk. Ignoring Garp, Hawkeye slowly shook his head and turned around. Since people are gone again, then there is no need for him to stay here. Hawkeye Mahawk, come fight. At this moment, there was a sudden shout from the sky, followed by a dazzling golden sword light. Good. Hawk-eyed Mahawk drew out the supremely sharp sword Black Sword Knight again, smashing the golden sword light. Following the last battle between Shichibukai and Admiral World's Greatest Swordsman Mahawk and Marine Candidate Admiral Momojin begins. This battle is destined to be recorded in the history of Watchung. Chapter 115 The Dark Forces jointly attack Watchung. Yohu tilde heart. Ship flying in the sky, this is the best experience. On the deck of the Going Merry, Vivi and Nami opened their arms, feeling the white clouds in the sky, and they cried with joy. Going Joe, the little loli on the other side, opened her mouth wide, letting as many clouds that were previously out of reach automatically fly into her mouth as much as possible. It doesn't taste like much, but it's fun after all. Reason why Luo Lin was able to make the Going Mei fly into the sky did not rely on the ability of the fluttering fruit, but the control of gravity. More than 40 years ago, some powers were brushed from Paramesha, the leader of the 7th Corps of the Overlord Rocks Pirates. Parts are just parts of gravity control. Even if Roland's observation Haki is stronger than Isho, the swordsman with heavy fruit ability, just relying on this part of the ability, he can't pull down meteorites from space like him. But it is enough for everyday use. Nami, Vivi, Koala, Marianne, pay attention, it's going to land soon. Robin on the second deck reminded. Tilde landing. Why, don't we just fly directly to Sky Island? Vivi asked in confusion. The sky is wider than the sea, and it has no direction. Robin said with emotion. Vivi tilted his head in confusion. Little Vivi, we don't have a permanent pointer directly pointing to Sky Island this time. If you fly straight in the sky, you will miss 1,000 miles. Nami, a professional navigator, explained. So I guess Rollinger wants to find the corresponding coordinates on the sea, such as the remnant of the Sky Island that was washed up to a height of 10,000 meters, and then he can go straight up. Oh, so it is. Vivi suddenly realized. The truth is exactly what Nami expected. Even Roland, who had been to Sky Island, couldn't fly there directly from Alabasta. Jaya Island on the Great Route first, and then take off straight into the sky. The novel spaceship 039 has experienced most of the day, and it is time to return to the sea. The purple gravitational halo that shrouded the Going Merry gradually faded. Longitudinal gravity reacted on the Going Merry, causing the sailboat to descend slowly and at a constant speed. With the last few centimeters remaining from the sea, Rollins threw away the gravity control of the ship. 039 bang 039 sounded softly. The Going Merry smashed into the sea, causing a small wave. The heading is correct, the wind speed is 0 km, and there should be more than half a day before the next island pointed to by the record pointer. Sailor Shinami said professionally. Happily pulled Vivi and Koala together to start a 3-man fight against landlords. This gameplay is naturally taught by Rollins. Simple and easy to learn, perfect for passing the time. If he is free next, Luo Lin is also going to get a pair of mahjong to relieve the boredom of the little girls on the boat. Time flies by sailing on the sea. In a blink of an eye, the sun has gradually set in the west. Oh, you can already see ahead, the next island. In the afternoon, Nami, who is earning a lot of money, shouted happily. So, should we go to that island for a night's rest first, or go directly to Sky Island? Vivi looked at Roland. Little Vivi, I'm afraid we'll have to wait a few more days to go to Sky Island. At this moment, Robin, who had been busy in the cabin for an afternoon, pushed the door and came out. The look on his pretty face was not very good. There was worry in the eyes. Sister Robin, did something happen to South Blue? Koala asked worriedly. What's the matter? Little girl Robin, just let Sabo handle all the matters over South Blue. Roland said. No, it's about Wei Sung. Robin shook his head. Wei Sung, what's wrong there? All the little girls are all face to face. The underground dark forces that we overthrew East Blue jointly issued a huge bounty, and their target is the Watchung base we are building now. Robin said solemnly. The time is probably in the past few days, and it may be tonight. What? Those people from the dark forces are going to attack Waesung. What should we do? Can we go back now? Vivi said anxiously. Little Vivi, don't worry, there are two giants Dory and Brigi in Waesung. Nami said. And maybe we don't need to worry too much, because there seem to be other big people in the Mentor's Waesung now. They shouldn't have left yet, right? Koala began. There was silence on the deck for a moment. Marine hero Garp Vice Admiral. Nami and Vivi exclaimed in unison. Thinking of this, most of the worries in their hearts disappeared. Then, let's go to Mock Town first. Roland finally spoke. Garp over there in Waesung, so Llewellyn naturally didn't need to worry anymore. But there are people who are planning to call at his door, and he has to respond with a ceremony. Mock Town, where a large number of pirates gather, should be able to get a lot of information there. At the same time, New World Dressrosa Underground Trading Port Base. Doflamingo, the clown of the underground dark intermediary, sat quietly with Erlang's legs crossed, with a cold smile on his face. 039 Chi-Chi 039. 039 Chi-Chi-Chi. A snowflake suddenly flashed on the screen in the house. Immediately afterwards, one after another, the giant crocodiles of the dark world from all over the new world connected the video. Luffield, the king of loan sharks, Umit, the sea king, Jigula, the organ dealer, and arms dealers in the underground world. This is a video conference of the dark kings of the underground world. Ha 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 ha, it's about to start, it's time to make that arrogant sand crocodile pay the price. Luffield, the king of loan sharks, laughed. Hey, that pesky crocodile and his 10,000 subordinates are all in South Blue. Even if it's too late to go back now, what city of his is going to be destroyed tonight? I really want to see it. Look at the frantic expression of that sand crocodile. Sea King Umit laughed wildly. Chee-hoo-hoo-hoo, that sand crocodile is really cute and innocent. It's not enough to swept in East Blue. He even wants to get involved in South Blue's business. His greed will destroy everything he has. He can steal our East Blue property. Can't we do it with his property in Alabasta? It's called a 717 reciprocity. This is just an appetizer, and the people he brings to South Blue next will also be buried in the sea. We want him and all the idiots in the world to know the fate of blatantly opposing the underground dark world. A group of dark power predators in the video conference laughed proudly. But the Albatross Man, who is also one of the Dark Kings, said Morgans, the president of the World Economic News. I got the news, and Marine probably also got the information. Now there are 2 warships parked in the Watchung. Morgans reminded. Ha ha ha, Morgans, you are responsible for spreading the news, not to mention 2 warships, even if it is Buster Call, this time it will be able to fight a dozen. Bluefield said arrogantly, it's not just our own team that has assembled this time. Before that, we have already bought many pirates in the park with a lot of money, and even some old friends in the New World have agreed to join this operation, such a huge force. Enough to support a war. Just watch it, the city that has not been built will be wiped out tonight. See you tonight. End of the meeting. The simulated projection screens went dark one by one, and finally only the Albatross Morgans remained. Joker, what's the matter with you today? Why didn't you say a word? Morgans asked with narrowed eyes. Because I'm going to have a good show tonight. Doflamingo suddenly raised his head and laughed, making Morgan's feathers explode for no reason. Chapter 116. A killing god is coming from Mock Town. Great Airway Mock Town. This was originally the edge of Jaya Island. 400 years ago, a huge sky current took away most of the land of Jaya Island. The remaining Mock Town area has gradually become the base of the pirates. Over time, it has become a high-spending pirate colony. A land of nowhere. When the Going Merry arrived at the front port of Mock Town, there were more than 100 pirate ships moored here. When Llewellyn and his party appeared at the port, in an instant, countless eyes with different emotions fell on them. A beautiful girl always attracts the greedy eyes of men. Coincidentally, there are now 4 pretty girls and a little lowly behind Luo Lin. How can this make the pirates not envious? Makes the pirates in the port even more exciting is that there is only one, guard 039, for such excellent little girls. This kind of good luck is like a pie in the sky, if they don't grasp it, they don't need to be in this sea. Ha ha ha, boy. The fat-headed and big-eared pirate with scars all over his body shook the fat on his body, blocking Luo Lin's face. Before he could finish speaking, Roland waved his right hand. Get out of the way. At the same time as Luo Lin's voice fell, the fat on the fat-headed and big-eared pirate suddenly shook violently, like ripples on the water. His eyes protruded, and the eyeballs seemed to pop out of their sockets. After a while, accompanied by a loud bang, the fat body of hundreds of pounds flew out at an unimaginable speed as if it had been hit hard. Boom all the way, smashed through an unknown number of walls. At the same time, it also alarmed countless pirates in this pirate town. Who? What's the matter? Which bastard dares to disturb this uncle to drink? Bastard, how dare you disturb this uncle to have fun for a long time? For a time, half of the pirates in Mock Town were startled by the sudden loud noise. The sound of howling and cursing were endless. At the same time, there were countless sounds of swordsmen unsheathed. There is a lot of noise in Mock Town. At this moment, the port of entry into the town fell into absolute silence. There are not a few pirates in the harbor. There are not a few pirates who have ideas about the little girls, but when they witness the shocking scene before, the greedy expressions on the faces of the pirates in the port have been replaced by shock. Who the hell is that man? That's a pirate with a bounty of 12 million, so he was defeated. What a joke. Hey, how could that man be? Just now he clearly just waved his hand casually, how could such a terrifying attack effect be produced? Impossible, I don't believe it. The pirates near the port widened their eyes, as if they were overturning the river. The previous scene of Roland wielding tens of millions of pirates at will, caused tons of psychological shadows in the hearts of everyone present. Even if they were pirates who shouted disbelief, their bodies were honestly frozen in place. In front of Roland, they didn't even have the courage to take up arms. This is the instinctive awe of the tyrant. Luo Lin paid no heed to the wailing of these pathetic weaklings. Just calmly walked towards Mock Town. Behind him, the 5 robins followed step by step. It was the first time to see so many pirates, and for Nami and Vivi, it was indeed a little panic. But in addition to panic, more excitement and admiration for Roland. With the deterrence of flying thousands of pirates, the little pirates near the port are very important to Luo Lin. Do not dare to have the slightest hindrance. But this shock was only temporary. Above the sea, the most indispensable thing is an idiot who is overconfident in himself. Soon, in front of Luo Lin, Xinglu, there appeared a temporary 039 alliance, spontaneously organized by various pirate groups. Just like the little pirates in the port, when they saw Nami and the others behind Roland, endless greed appeared in the eyes of the pirates. Ha 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 ha, little ones, our luck is really good today. Don't worry about picking up leaks at Alabasta, now this fun thing has appeared. Hey, the kid over there, if you know what you are looking for, then hand over the people behind you as soon as possible. In this case, this uncle can spare your life. Lao Su is a big pirate with a bounty of 36 million. The people behind you, including you, belong to Lao Su. What's the use of just talking here? Of course the pirates want to grab it, whoever grabs it first will get it. As the pirate captain's voice fell, the whole street was instantly excited. The pirates who gathered from all over were all waving their swords and swarming up. Such a vicious scene, if it were an ordinary little girl, I am afraid that I would have been too frightened to walk. But at this moment, not only Robin and Koala, but also Vivi and Nami, who were relatively timid, did not respond. Because in front of them, there is Luo Lin's back. As long as they look at this back, their hearts will have infinite power, making them fearless. Close your eyes, there will be a little irritation next. Roland turned back and reminded softly. Oh oh oh. The little girls closed their eyes obediently. Ha 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 ha, give up. Finally give up. You are the master. Lao Tzu. Seeing this, the pirates who rushed to the front all laughed wildly and proudly. But in the next moment, something strange happened. Almost the same time. Without exception. With Qian Zhao, the wild laughter of the pirates came to an abrupt end. What happened? What are those rays of light? The little pirates who escaped in the port screamed in fear. Under their gazes, white lines crisscrossed between heaven and earth. Intertwined into a web, rushing from street to end of street. So the world is quiet. All dead are all dead. How is it possible? What kind of power is that? Monster. That's a monster. No, no, that's not a monster. That's a killer. Run away. When I saw the countless cubes of flesh on the street, it was like the scene of sheer hell. The pirates in the port could no longer restrain their inner fear, and their shouts echoed over the entire mock town. Chapter 117, Fear of Bellamy the Hyena. Run away. Killing God is coming. The place where pirates gather, Mock Town, is plunged into the craziest chaos ever. The pirates who were invincible on weekdays were now like helpless ants, screaming in panic and fear, and fled in all directions. However, it was unable to escape the pursuit of the 039 Death 039 light. The whole mock town was quiet. Neat piles of meat can be seen everywhere on the chaotic streets. The scene is like sheer hell. One of the pirates in mock town is counted as one, none of them are innocents, and their hands are stained with the blood of ordinary civilians. Especially when it was learned from the memories of some people that most of them had the idea of going to Alabasta tomorrow and going to Weisling to take advantage of the fire, Luo Lin naturally had no reason to show mercy. Just 10 minutes. Gathered in mock town are dead. The remaining 30% were hiding in the house and didn't dare to come out, and Luo Lin didn't bother to take the initiative to search. At this moment. The only bar in mock town. Boss Bellamy, it's really a big deal. Eddie, the navigator of the hyena pirates with a big golden hair, lowered his voice and shook his captain with panic written all over his face. Deputy Captain Thatch, you should wake up soon, it's really bad outside. Fighter of the hyena pirates, Rose 90, was desperately trying to wake the deputy captain. Stop arguing, I am sleepy right now, I can't spare you if I make more noise. Bellamy, the captain of the hyena pirates with a bounty of 55 million berries, looked drunk and unconscious, ignoring the panic of his subordinates. Eddie, Rose, what's going on outside? It's been noisy since just now. Murray, the beautiful ship doctor of the hyena regiment with orange buns, held a glass of wine and looked like she was drunk. All are dead, the pirates on the street, one counts as one, they are all dead, Captain. Navigator Eddie finally couldn't suppress the fear in his heart and shouted loudly. What did you say? Bellamy the hyena sat up suddenly. Then suddenly he burst out laughing. Ha 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 ha, Thatch, did you hear that? He said that almost all the pirates in the town died, ha ha ha, how is this possible? Bellamy laughed. Babe Bellamy, it's like it's real. Thatches, who was also awakened, went to the window and looked out into the street with sleepy eyes. Next moment. Thatch's state of intoxication bawed as instant withdrawal. His half-squinted eyes suddenly widened, and his mouth widened to the extent that he could stuff several eggs. What is the scene in front of you? Is this hell? Vice Captain Thatches stood there, soaked in sweat. From head to toe, it was swooning cold. Hey, Thatch, what are you talking about? Bellamy the hyena frowned, got up in person, stood beside Thatches and looked out the bar window at the street. So, there is another sculpture by the window. Next, the third and fourth. The members of the hyena pirates in the bar were stunned by the window one by one. An emotion called fear quickly erodes their body, mind, and even soul. Ah ah ah. Finally, the female base members on the boat couldn't help screaming. 039 bang bang 039. Like a chain reaction, all the members of the hyena group retreated involuntarily. Even Captain Bellamy and co-captain Thatches fell to the ground because of extreme fear. At this moment, their brains are already blank. What happened outside when they were drunk earlier? Could it be that a demon appeared? What the hell is going on with those who are so neatly broken? Escape. Where can I escape now? Could the devil have their sights set on them? After witnessing such a terrifying death scene, even a cruel pirate like Bellamy was already filled with fear. Tatter. At this moment, a footstep sounded from the outside of the bar, and all the members of the hyena group were all bristling with hair, and looked out of the door in fear. Brother Rolling, can you open your eyes now? Okay. With the sound of the calm male voice, the group led by Luo Lin walked straight into the bar and appeared in the sight of Bellamy and others. When they saw that it was a human being, Bellamy and his group were all relieved. However, the next moment, when he noticed the sight from Luo Lin, Bellamy's relaxed spirit was instantly tense again to the extreme. Intuition tells him that the tragic situation outside is absolutely inseparable from the man in front of him. Their gang is now standing on the brink of life and death. Who the hell are you? Bellamy yelled in horror. Roland ignored Bellamy's fearful scream, and Roland went straight to the edge of the bar and sat down. 1 shot of rum, 4 shots of whiskey, and a shot of orange juice at the end, thanks. Roland tapped the bar lightly. The bar owner Terry, who was hiding under the bar and trembling, had no choice but to climb out tremblingly and pour the wine tremblingly. Boss, take the liberty to ask, do you know much about the underground dark world of paradise? Luo Lin asked. 039 poof. Bar owner Terry's knees went soft and he knelt down on the spot. My lord, You just need to answer as much as you want. Roland said calmly. More. Bar owner Terry nodded heavily. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I have been running a bar in Mock Town for decades, and I have many sources of intelligence. I will definitely be able to help you. Then the first question, when will the underground dark forces jointly prepare to attack Alabasta Watchung? Where is it now? Roland asked. As far as my lord, as far as I know, the start time has been confirmed to be tonight, and they have probably arrived near the sea area of Sainton Island by now. In addition, the underground forces participating this time have some pirates who joined the pirate group because of the underground bounty. Bar owner Terry is able to open a bar in the pirate town for decades, and there is indeed something. The intelligence network deployed for decades has allowed him to obtain a lot of information. At this moment, they all confessed to Roland. Tonight, then there is no other way, I can only leave it to that guy Garp. Roland pondered. The second question, are there any bases controlled by the dark forces nearby? Yes, I know the exact location of 5, and they are the Sea King Umit. In the face of life and death, the bar owner Terry did not dare to conceal the slightest, and even wished to turn his brain out for Luo Lin to see for himself. My lord, this is a permanent pointer to the 5 islands that I secretly made myself. Finally, the bar owner Terry took out 5 permanent pointers and placed them respectfully in front of Luo Lin. Very good. Roland nodded. Then one last thing. Chapter 118 Hawkeye, Knife Garp Punch. One last thing. Roland spoke. Sir, please speak. The bar owner Terry bowed his head respectfully. I have completely preserved the heads of the pirates outside. If there is a bounty, please sort them out and bring them to Marine to exchange them. There are also those pirate ships in the port outside. Send the bounty to Alabasta together. Rollins said. Yes. The bar owner nodded suddenly. After explaining the matter, Roland's eyes turned to Bellamy's group who were still paralyzed on the ground. Just a glance. In Bellamy's group was breathing stagnant, and unspeakable horror and fear took over their spirits. Through the previous conversation between Roland and bar owner Terry, they already knew. With absolute certainty, the hellish scene outside was definitely from the man in front of him. Although there was no trace of blood on his body. What a terrible character this is. Even his idol, Doflamingo, is completely incomparable. Now if you don't say something, don't do something. Their end won't be much different from those chunks of meat out there. My lord, we wish to surrender. Bellamy the hyena fell to the ground and bowed at Roland's feet. In the face of life and dignity, he chose to live without hesitation and decisively. The silence continued for a moment. Roland snapped his fingers lightly. Okay, you and Terry can finish what I told you earlier. Roland responded calmly. It's not impossible to keep this interesting spring trick to do something. The rum in the glass bottomed out, and the whiskey of Robin and others, as well as the juice of little lolly-going Joe, were also drunk. Then naturally it was time to leave. 5 minutes later, Roland and his party returned to the ship in the port. Next second, the Going Merry soared into the sky and galloped away in the direction pointed by the first permanent pointer. Li Shang really should communicate. The other side. Mock Town Bar. It wasn't until long after Roland took Vivi and others away, Bellamy's group and bar owner Terry, that they all collapsed to the ground as if they were out of strength. Where the hell is that person? When did such a terrifying powerhouse appear above the sea? Why have I never heard of it before? The well-informed bar owner Terry muttered to himself in shock. Did you say? Bar owner Terry thought of a recent rumor in the sea. About the real owner of Alabasta Waysung, about another, big black hand, behind the Shichibukai sand crocodile. Think of the 2 questions that Roland asked him earlier. Time. The bar owner Terry seemed to have caught the key point. His eyes widened in shock, and he was speechless for a long time. Boss, what should we do now? Captain Bellamy, let's escape while this is the time. Get out of this ghost place, it's hell. Everyone in the hyena group collapsed and shouted. In particular, the female members such as the ship doctor were already in tears of fear. A bunch of idiots. Escape. Where can we escape to? Because of fear, the blue veins on Bellamy's forehead were restless. For a powerhouse of that level, it's useless no matter where we escape. You all stand up for me and prepare to clean up the mess outside. Bellamy roared. Middle. At this moment. Great Root Alabasta Kingdom. Mahawk, the world's greatest swordsman, and Marine Candidate Admiral, who is also the great swordsman, Mamasagi Gion, continues. Over the desert, golden and green sword lights can be seen from time to time, illuminating the dark night sky. The construction site workers who are accustomed to this will naturally no longer panic. Coupled with the stay of Marine hero Garp, a lively barbecue banquet is being held on the construction site at this moment. The newspaper reported, Garp Vice Admiral, that a large number of pirate ships were approaching in our direction on the sea ahead. At this moment, the watchman on the dog-headed warship noticed a little bit of light on the sea in the distance. After finding out that it was a pirate ship with one, Wang Haijin was shocked and hurriedly reported the situation to Garp. What? In an instant, there was an uproar on the construction site. Bell, the deputy captain of the Kingdom Guard, rushed into the sky in the form of a falcon for the first time. Bell, how is the situation? King Cobra asked anxiously. Lord Cobra, quickly organize the personnel to retreat. At least 100 pirate ships are heading towards us. Bell also shouted in anger. When Bell's words fell, the workers on the entire construction site fell into tension and fear. Everyone, calm down for me. At this moment, a loud and thunderous voice echoed over Waysung City for a long time. 0 flowers. That's Marine Vice Admiral Garp talking. It's just a mere pirate. With the old man here, what are you still afraid of? Garp patted his chest and spoke confidently. Hearing this, the audience was silent at first, and then boiled again. Yeah, with Mr. Garp here, we have nothing to fear. Let those son of a bitch pirates pass through and die. Today we're going to fight alongside our heroes too. Middle. In just an instant, the atmosphere in the field changed 180 degrees. That's the weight of the Marine Hero 039, 4 character. Bogart, take out my oversized iron ball, ordered Garp, who was standing on the coast. Yes. After a while, a huge solid iron ball with a diameter of 100 meters was sent to Garp's side. 500 meters, 300 meters. 0. The muzzles of the joint fleet of the dark forces on the sea were aligned in the direction of Wachung. Ha 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 ha, little ones, capture that city, there are treasures worth 300 billion hidden there. One of the pirate captains laughed. The arrogant crocodile dares to provoke our dark forces, this is the price. The agents of the dark forces shouted triumphantly. Captain, Captain, there seems to be a marine standing on the shore over there, and there's a pirate armed with a telescope found a huge iron ball and Garp on the coast, and immediately reported it. It's just a mere marine. We have monsters who have returned from the New World. Little ones, they are in the range and shoot me. With the command of the captains. The muzzles of 100 ships spit out dazzling flames. Cannonballs poured down in the direction of Waisung City like rain. The pirates and the agents of the dark forces shouted excitedly, ready to enjoy the scene of Waisung being turned into ruins under the shelling. However, at this moment, the world suddenly fell silent. Of the pirates, a green blade of light suddenly flashed. The knife light swept past, severing the endless rain of shells. At the same time, it also cut open one pirate ship after another. Ah ah ah! The pirates screamed in shock, anger, and fear from the sea. Ha ha ha, pirates, let's let you taste the old man's special cannonball. At the same time, the strong old man on the coast, Marine's strongest legendary Vice Admiral 1, Hero Garp laughed and shot. Fist bone, extra large iron ball. 5s. Chapter 119 Whitebeard's ominous foreboding is getting stronger. New World. Dressrosa Underground Trading Port. It's still that special video room. Doflamingo, the largest dark middleman in the underground, had his legs crossed and his expression calm. There are screens one after another in the room. The shadows of the underground dark kings are projected. At the same time there are 3 other independent screens in the very center. Shown above is a view from the far side of the Red Soil continent. Spectacular scene of 100 pirate fleets slaughtering at Alabasta. Ha 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 ha, clown, don't say brother, I didn't take care of you, I will invite you to watch a big show today. Luffield, the king of loan sharks, laughed. It's about to start. The good show that I've been waiting for a long time is about to be staged, kai hoo hoo hoo. The organ dealer Jigula laughed treacherously. I'm going to save this footage to show that sand crocodile, it's going to be interesting. Sea King Umit grinned. The other predators of the dark world also wore relaxed smiles. Quietly waiting for the picture of 039 Wachung, being turned into ruins under the fire. 039 bang bang 039. The shelling finally sounded. 580. It's started, it's started. Bluefield, Jigula, Umit and others shouted excitedly. But the next moment, all the shells in the huge simulated projection screen disappeared 039. Or it was completely covered by a burst of green light. What's the matter? Did something get on the phone bug's eyes? Damn, those incompetent subordinates can't even do this little thing well, it's a rare good show. Recover quickly. The predators of the dark world spoke in dissatisfaction. Not right. At this moment, Doflamingo, who had been absolutely calm until now, suddenly stood up. 039 green light, or the knife light, without blinking. Confusion gradually appeared on his face. This knife light, that hawk-eyed bastard. What did you say? Joker, what are you talking about? That Shichibukai Mahawk. Just kidding. Mahawk, the world's greatest swordsman, how could he be there? Impossible. What a joke. If it's Hawkeye, I'm on the spot. Eat this screen. All the dark predators shook their heads one after another, expressing disbelief. The next second, the full-screen green light on the screen converges. One of the 3 image projection screens went black. Among the other 2 were figures floating on the sea and the wreckage of a ship that had been cut in half. Countless screams mixed with shock and fear came. Our ship. Who is it? Cut off our boat. Is that terrifying green blade light that eagle eye? Look over there, it's really a Hawkeye Mahawk. The horrified shouts of the pirates came from the phone bug. One of the projection screens showed Hawkeye's heroic figure standing against the wind with a black knife in hand. So all the dark bosses were silent. 039 Kaka. One of the phone bugs shattered the screen, as if a piece was missing. Crunch. What followed was the sound of people gnashing their teeth. Hawkeye Mahawk. It's really that bastard. Damn, it actually hinders our important affairs. The expressions on the faces of the predators of the dark forces gradually became hideous. However, the next moment, something even more shocking happened to them. Without warning, an iron ball that seemed to be too big to take up the entire screen. Only a loud bang was heard. Another remote projection screen went dark, representing the sacrifice of another video phone bug. What's going on this time? Cried Jigula, the organ dealer. His questions were quickly answered. Garp. Is the Garp of Marine Heroes. That Vice Admiral Garp is there. Bastard Jigula, how dare he like allow Sue to die? Umit, if I can go back this time, I will definitely kill you. The eyes of the last specially made video phone bug were locked on the old man on the coast who threw a huge iron ball. Of the Marine, Vice Admiral Garp. From the phone bug, the pirates screamed in horror again. There is also the furious roar of the pirate captains of the New World. This time, they were commissioned by the dark forces to come to paradise, just to make a fortune. But now what? First, Hawkeye suddenly appeared. Now even Garp, the Marine hero Garp has appeared. If they were not afraid of the Lone Ranger Hawkeye, now they are completely afraid of Marine's hero Garp. It was originally thought to be a cheap thing to catch, but it has now become a deadly activity. How can this be accepted by the powerful pirates of the New World? At this moment, it is not just the pirates who participated in the Waesung attack. When the Marine hero Garp appeared, the dark forces who participated in the video conference also showed extremely frightened expressions on their faces. The whole place was dead silent. All that was left was the constant screams of fear and anger from the phone bug. Mahawk, the world's largest swordsman. Even the Marine hero Garp appeared there. What the hell is going on here? Why is there so many world's top powerhouses gathered in that ghost place? The hearts of the Dark Kings of the Underground have long been roaring madly. The last projection screen is still listening. The dark predators of Ling were able to witness the final result with their own eyes. Hawkeye Mahawk once again slashed the sea. Garp stepped on the moon step and attacked, the iron fist was in the air, and the sea burst. Alternate Admiral Mamasagi Gion swings his sword, the golden sword shines so heavily, illuminating the night. 2 dusty giants jumped into the sea carrying huge stone bars and swept away thousands of troops. The last special video phone worm sacrifice. The video conference room, there is no doubt about the silence. They lost. Complete defeat. The screens went dark one by one. Bluefield, Umit, Jigula and others went offline one after another. It looked calm on the surface, but Doflamingo could already imagine their hysterical, frantic roars behind their backs. In the end, only Morgan's was left. Ha 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 ha, this is really the best drama, full of twists, and full of bang, clown, goodbye, tomorrow at the latest I will let this news spread to the sea. Quote. Morgans shouted excitedly and left the assembly line. The dark conference room, Doflamingo sat on a chair with a gloomy expression on his face. Hawkeye is there, even Marine, Garp and Mamasagi are there. Marine Sand Crocodile, who is that man behind you? Looks like I need to go to South Blue and have a good talk with you. Fur. Middle. 039 The Alabasta Waesung Attack 039, under the operation of the President of the World Economic News, Morgans, spread around the world at the fastest speed. So, the whole sea was shocked. South Blue. Gu tilde ha tilde ye. I said long ago that attacking Waesung without authorization was the worst decision you made. Crocodile ruthlessly taunted the agents of the dark forces in front of him. Bastard Sand Crocodile, why is Hawkeye there? Why is that Garp there? Boom. Sandstorm Burial. The weathered terrestrial desert devoured everything on the island. Why are Hawkeye, Garp and the others here? Of course it's because of that legend. Crocodile said quietly. New World. Head. The little fat man Lakilu waved the newly released newspaper, and excitedly ran to the 4 emperors with red hair. Look, Hawkeye is in the news again, this time with OO in Alabasta. But, why did the eagle-eyed guy come to the Sand Crocodile's territory? It was the same in East Blue before. Could it be that he was chasing the Sand Crocodile? Yasop wondered. No, that eagle eye is only interested in people and things related to 039 Sword 039, Ben Beckman mused. Maybe there is really a kendo master standing behind the Sand Crocodile, ha 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 ha. The 4 emperors' red-haired shanks laughed. New World Blue Sky Island. Whitebeard Pirates, Moby Dick. The master of Kendo 039 sought by Hawkeye, that bastard from Garp went to Alabasta, and Waesung, whose layout is very similar to the Marine headquarters. Why is my ominous premonition getting stronger? Could it be that the bastard is really back? He really isn't dead, can't you? The world's strongest man, Whitebeard Edward Newgate, fell into contemplation. Dad, what are you talking about? Who's back? Asked the captain of the first team, Marco, puzzled. No, nothing, hula la la la. Whitebeard laughed, covering his guilty conscience. Chapter 120 Crane's Decision. Sengoku is horrified. The Waesung attack in Alabasta. People all over the world are still discussing and marveling at the Shichibukai Hawkeye Mahawk and the hero Garp who appeared in the attack. There is that big event, big news first. In contrast, the pirate death incident in Mock Town and the disappearance of the 5 islands of the Great Root are nothing major. Except for the anger and fear of the leaders of the dark forces such as Umit who lost the base island, there was not much waves in the world. Of course, that doesn't mean no one cares. This moment. Marine Headquarters, Marshal's Office. The large and small pirates arrested in the Waesung attack have entered the deep-sea prison Impel Down. The incident basically came to an end. At this moment, in front of Marshal Sengoku and Chief Staff Officer Suru Vice Admiral is a report on the pirate town of Mock Town and the disappearance of 5 small islands. Sengoku frowned and carefully read the 2 incident reports, word for word. The further back, especially after seeing the bloody photos of hellish scenes, the deeper the wrinkles between Sengoku's eyebrows and eyes. That guy did all of this. Sengoku looked at Vice Admiral Crane in disbelief. This ferocious ability that can shatter the body, has appeared in 2 people 36 years ago. One is the dead Overlord Rox, who used this ability in Mariajoy. Suru Vice Admiral said solemnly, a look of distress flashed across Grace 10 Feet's face. How could this be? Sengoku opened his mouth wide and slumped weakly on the chair. How could that guy do such a horrific thing? Massacred a town? No, it's a massacre. Sengoku, these are the most heinous pirates. Suru Vice Admiral reminded. Even if it is a pirate, I believe that with his strength, he can absolutely capture them all without injury, and then contact us Marine to deal with it. Sengoku glared. Crazy, now he is not bound by Marine, he is completely a wild horse. No, I have the responsibility to get him back on the right path. Sengoku suddenly stood up. Sengoku. Suru Vice Admiral's voice was raised slightly. Suru. Sengoku, do you know what kind of life he has lived in the 36 years since he disappeared? Lonely, dead, as if thrown by the world. In the past 36 years, how much regret has he accumulated? He once told me that his eyes could see the future, and he saw many regrets that happened on the sea in the future. He said that since he came, he would change those regrettable futures with his own hands, but what? Nothing can be done. Nothing can be changed. What a despair it would be if he had been trapped awake for 36 years. This time, no matter what he wants to do, I won't stop him. I don't want you to stop him either. Speaking of the end, Vice Admiral Tsuruhiro's right hand is covered with armament hockey, and her left hand is the light of her own ability to wash fruit. Are you serious, Tsuru? Sengoku's eyes widened in shock. After 3 days of ups and downs. This time, the Going Merry did indeed carry Luo Lin. Shingen arrived just below the Sky Island, where the original Jaya Island was located. Only half of the ancient building coast remained, and an uncle with a strange chestnut head was smoking a cigarette in a melancholy manner. 6 years, still can't hear the wonderful going bell today. What happened on that day 6 years ago? Chestnut-headed Uncle Mont Blanc Kulik looked up at the sky thoughtfully. He is the descendant of Mont Blanc Noland, the famous talker of North Blue 400 years ago. His ancestor, Noland, has been infamous for thousands of years because he fabricated the lies of Going Township. As a descendant of Noland, Mont Blanc Kulik never doubted his ancestors. Because that is really a great man. So 30 years ago he left North Blue and came to the Jaya Island in the story to find Going Township. It was true that Going Township was not found, but he heard the wonderful going bells described by his ancestors. Every morning at 8 o'clock, there will be a wonderful bell from the sky. It is said to have been ringing for 10 years. The people around and the pirates and merchant ships passing by regard it as a wonder of the world and a beautiful song from heaven. But Kulik, a descendant of Noland, knew that it was the chime of the going bell. Ancestors did not lie. Going Township really exists, it just went to the sky. 30 years after that. Mont Blanc Kulik settled here for a long time. Get ready to listen to the wonderful going bells every day. Until one day 6 years ago, the going bell disappeared again. For the next 6 years, there was no sound. The going bell has disappeared, and the pirates of Mock Town have also disappeared. Am I about to disappear too? Mont Blanc Kulik collapsed limply on the grass on the coast. Hey, Chestnut Head over there. At this moment, a young voice suddenly came from the sea. Chestnut Head. Are you calling me? Mont Blanc Kulik got up and saw the Sheep's Head sailboat coming slowly from not far away. At the bow stood a young figure. Are you pirates? If you want to go to Mock Town, I advise you to leave. A lot of people died there in the past 2 days. Mont Blanc Kulik reminded kindly. No, Uncle Chestnut Head, we are going to Sky Island later. Vivi pointed to the sky. Sky Island. Hearing this, Mont Blanc Kulik's eyes widened in shock. You know Sky Island? Of course you know, not only Sky Island, but also the legendary Going City, the huge going bell. Nami's eyes lit up, and she turned into the shape of money again. The shocking expression on the face of the chestnut-headed Mont Blanc was even greater. Not only Sky Island, but even Going Township and Going Zhang know about it. The tone is also very certain. Who are these people? Mont Blanc Kulik, who had encountered such a thing for the first time in 30 years, was stupid. No, girls, you said you were going to Sky Island. But how are you going now? Mont Blanc Kulik asked anxiously. There have been no cumulus emperor clouds these days, and naturally there has not been a sky current, and even if there is a sky current, also cannot. Mont Blanc Kulik's words came to an abrupt end. Because the going melee in front of him just stood up in front of his eyes. Hey, chestnut-headed boy, do you want to take the once-in-a-century boat today? Luo Lin said with a smile. Mont Blanc Kulik was stunned. In just a moment, he came back to his senses and nodded again and again. Want. And packed all the going treasures he had collected over the years before jumping on the deck of the Mary. Sir and the girls, this is my fare. Pushed out a group of perfectly carved going treasures. Uncle Chestnut Head, how embarrassing is this? As Nami spoke, she unceremoniously accepted Going's treasure in its entirety, and the brilliance in her eyes became much brighter. Go away. Of course Roland would not care about these going treasures. The soles of the feet tread lightly on the deck. The dark purple gravitational aperture enveloped the ship, and it took the people on the ship to rise rapidly, rushing into the clouds, constantly chopping the waves. 3 minutes and less than 87 minutes, they came to the White Sea, which was 7 kilometers above the ground. All you can see is a vast expanse of white, boundless. Mont Blanc Culic's eyes and mouth were wide open, and his heart seemed to be shocked by this miraculous ascension experience to the extreme. Nami, Vivi, stop playing, the air will be thinner next time, I'll try to slow. You adapt as soon as possible, otherwise the high-altitude lack of oxygen will be uncomfortable. Roland reminded the excited Nami too, gradually slowing down the speed of the ascent, along the island cloud trail slowly going. After about a quarter of an hour, they came to the end of the island cloud trail. The distance, a metal nameplate appeared in everyone's sight, with the words, Gate of Heaven, written on it. The huge vaulted building stands in the middle, and there are several small rooms for people to live on either side. Tata 039. Just as Luo Lin, Xing's boat approached, the Gate of Heaven inspector or gatekeeper, an old woman named Amazon appeared, picked up the camera and pointed at the people on the boat. The entry fee is 1 billion Iraqi per person. The old woman named Amazon's gatekeeper said, it was Xiaoyanji. Her turbid eyes were firmly locked on Roland on the bow, and a wrinkled old face gradually showed extreme shock and disbelief. It's like seeing half of the most incredible person in the world. After a while, the shock and disbelief on the old face turned into excitement, beyond words. Pat. The camera in the old woman's hand fell to the ground and shattered, but she didn't notice it, just stumbled out a few steps. Finally, he knelt down towards Luo Lin at the bow. Are you really a former god? Lord God, are you finally back? Come back and save us. The old Amazon woman who was watching the door burst into tears. Ah tilde tilde. Dot dot dot.